Welcome to the Dynasty Evaluation Show. Of course, as soon as I press live, my next door neighbor starts cutting the grass. So that's just kind of how things work. And, hopefully he doesn't, in the background, doesn't do
so far, you're good, John. I can't hear you. I always laugh because, it seems like when I do Wednesday night shows, my son jumps in the shower the second we start the show.
Yeah.
And it's right next to my office. Literally, the shower is 5 feet from me. It's on that wall. So I'm always muting because I feel like you can hear the shower all the time.
Yeah. But we are in part 2 of our evaluation drafts, evaluation of the NFL draft itself. So let's get to part 2.
McGlynn is in. I repeat, McGlynn is in. Let the fun begin. This is the Commissioner Evaluation Podcast with your host, John McGlynn.
Is that Herms?
He got them guests on the Rolodex, stopping by to talk about some Dynasty Superflex. Everybody, commish is in. It's time to sit down to listen to John McGlynn. Yo, who we trading, who we fading, who we getting off the squad. Knowledge never overrated, playing for number one. And yo, McGlynn is in. It's time to let the fun begin. It's the Commissioner Evaluation Podcast with John McGlynn.
Woohoo! So, if you guys were not here, Jamie, thanks for you are the new Chris Joel Smith. You come in all the time. This is fantastic. Thanks for jumping in the show. I'm going to read his fun fact. Tez Johnson is Bo Nix's adopted brother. Nix's family adopted Tez when he was 15 years old. They were also teammates in high school in Oregon. Yes. Fun fact. I like fun facts. That is a fact. Jack.
I was surprised that somehow the Broncos didn't get him after the whole Troy Franklin thing. I figured they would try to get Tez. Didn't happen. Went to the Bucks, but
they used to beat up Bo Nix when they were kids, and he's like, God, get that guy off my team. I'm sick of him, and stealing all my Captain Crunch and stuff, from the cabinet.
That's right.
But all right, so we are on. If you missed last week's show, Dynasty Evaluation YouTube channel, we had the first half the draft. We went around team by team, and we used NFL.com's reference to the draft grades they had. So it was the analyst that we had by the name of Chad Reuter. He has his 2025 draft his final snap grades for all 32 teams. We kind of went by what he had said and what he wrote. It's fantastic here because he's got team by team, a main grade. All the players are drafted, the player themselves, the position, the team, their college they came from. And he's got draft grades of day 1, day 2, and day 3 for every team. So we went across the board. We couldn't stop until we did the middle, until we got down with the Jaguars and the Colts. That was kind of our let's just do them too, but pushing through because we enjoy them. But now we're starting on day 2 with the KC Chiefs. So, JT, as we did last week, what are the Kansas City Chiefs draft needs?
Chiefs came in needing D-line help, O-line, edge rusher, safety, wide receiver.
Well, what they got was they got offensive tackle, Josh Simmons from Ohio State with pick number 32. That was in a trade with the Eagles. And then they got round 2, pick 63, defensive tackle Omar Norman Lott from Tennessee. In round 3, they got an edge rusher, Ashton Gillette from Louisville. Also in round 3, they got cornerback Noel Williams from California. Round 4, they got Jalen Royals, wide receiver from Utah State. Round 5, they got linebacker Jeffrey Bassa from Oregon. Round 7, they got running back Rashard Smith, who might be the steal of this team in round 7. Day 1 draft grade A, day 2 draft grade B, day 3 draft grade A. JT, how do they do? Because I don't think they really needed a receiver here, but they took one anyway. But that might be, just best available player on their draft board. So
I thought this was a fantastic draft for the Chiefs. They needed O-line help bad. Josh Simmons, they had the 31st pick, traded down one spot, got a little bit of extra draft capital. He probably was a top 10 player if he wasn't injured. I think they absolutely stole him at pick 32. He was phenomenal. I think that's a great pick for them. Needed some D-line edge help, so they went there at the beginning of the second round with Norman Lott and Gillette. Noel Williams from California in the third round, really nice cornerback. He was a guy coming up boards. A lot of people were talking about him. He did a nice job in the pre-draft process. His A grade on day 3 for the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round, I thought they did phenomenal. Jalen Royals was a guy a ton of people liked out of Utah. He got banged up last year and only played about half the season. If not, he probably would have been on more people's radars. Jeffrey Bassa was not a lot of good off-ball linebackers in this draft. He was one of the top ones, I thought, for getting him in the 5th round was pretty nice. And Rashard Smith dropping all the way to 7th, a little surprised by that, but I don't know if he could have got a better landing spot. I know they've got Kareem Hunt. I know they've got Isaiah Pacheco, who they also took late in the draft. Rashard Smith, former Miami wide receiver, converted to running back at SMU. He's a guy that can do a little bit of everything. Absolutely love this pick in the 7th round. He's going to go way higher than this in fantasy drafts. He's a sneaky pick that people are liking. I like him a lot to work his way into this offense and figure out a way to get on the field some. So he's got a little work to do. He's got quite a few guys ahead of him, but I think they're going to figure out a way to use him. He's not Tyreek Hill per se, but I could see them using him a little bit like they did back in the day with Tyreek Hill, running end arounds, maybe having a kick punt return, doing different things with him where they're just trying to manufacture him touches. So I like that a lot. And then I think Royals is a great pick. You think, they don't really need wideout, but if you look at it, you got Rashee Rice coming off the injury, not sure about any kind of suspension with him. Highwood Brown also injured almost all of last year, and then Xavier Worthy, the number 1 pick last year. You had Jalen Royals in there, and I'm kind of explaining to people, I kind of think Jalen Royals is who they thought Sky Moore would be when they took Sky Moore a couple years ago in the 2nd round. He just never has really developed, still on the team, but hasn't really developed. And you got my boy Juju Smith-Schuster still there. The ghost of Juju. Love Juju, but he's not the player he once was. That knee has got to him. He's a nice backup, but fantasy purposes, he's pretty much, not worth playing for the most part. So I like Royals. I think Royals is a nice spot. If anything happens with Rice or Brown, I think Royals could be a sneaky good fantasy pickup. So them getting him where they did in the draft, I thought was really nice value getting him in the 4th round.
Yeah, I'll get it. I mean, I understand I just feel like they needed that point in the draft. I feel like you should be going over just solidifying the trenches with offensive linemen and things like that. Not, I don't think Royals is a, make or break player. I mean, yeah, he's good, but I feel like slot receivers and speedy guys are finding available all over the place, So I like trench guys in those kind of rounds. So I get it.
I was a little surprised. Simmons was not a surprise at all. I thought they'd go O-line for sure.
Right.
I was a little surprised they didn't go O-line again. At least, even if they didn't do it in the 2nd round, one of their 3rd round picks, I'm a little surprised they didn't go O-line once again there. They just were really bad up front last year. So I know they've made some moves and done some things, but I was a little surprised they didn't grab one more O-lineman to kind of, fill in that mix there. But
yeah, I don't. I'm not surprised about the Rashard Smith. Their running back room, they definitely need some upgrades. Kind of a smaller guy, 5'10", 100, like 192 pounds, whatever. But
speedster, speed demon. He should be a really nice, like I said, 3rd down back, a guy that can receive out of the backfield, a guy that's going to be able to take screens. He's going to be able to take some delayed handoffs and make some plays, possibly play some special teams. So yeah, I especially in the 7th round, I'm really shocked he fell that far, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But we talked about it. This is a really deep running back class, and there was 20 plus guys came off the board, and there were still players that I liked a ton that didn't even get drafted that are undrafted free agents. So, and there was over 20 drafted. So that tells you how many guys went in this draft and guys fell. So, I mean, there was great value still in the 5th, 6th, 7th rounds because there were so many guys in this draft.
Yeah, it was. I'll admit it. It was. I mean, they definitely had a good draft here as far as their picks are concerned. Just a little surprising on some of them, but for sure, I think Rashard Smith just fits their offense. And they have a type. They definitely have a type. I'll put it that way. Next up is the Raiders. They got a great A grade. Tell me about what their needs were coming into the draft.
Yeah, Raiders got one of the higher grades he gave out with a straight A. They needed a running back. We all knew that. wide receiver, cornerback, O-line, linebacker. Obviously, he made the moves, got Geno. Thought maybe they would go QB, but then they made the move to get Geno in the offseason. Obviously, Brock Bowers is a stud. So they needed to put offensive weapons, I think was the number one thing on the board for them, was get offensive weapons to help out Geno and kind of get that offense moving. Because you got to score in the AFC West. You just have to. Everybody else is loaded. You got to be able to put up some points.
Yeah, in 7 rounds, they got 5 offensive players, which is one of the more offensive-friendly, fantasy football-friendly team drafts. But round 1, they took Ashton Jeanty, running back for Boise State. That's a home run. Whatever team he goes to, wherever you have needs, it doesn't matter. He's going to be someone that's going to be the build your franchise around kind of running back. Round 2, 56, Jack Beck, wide receiver from TCU, lunchbox guy, all-around good player. I think that's a perfect spot in the draft to grab him. Round 3, cornerback Darian Porter, Iowa State. Round 3 again, offensive guard Caleb Rogers, Texas Tech. Another offensive lineman in round 3 at 99, offensive tackle Charles Grant from William & Mary. Round 4, wide receiver Deontay Thornton Jr., Tennessee. Round 4 again, defensive tackle Tonka Hemingway. My son loves that nickname, Tonka. He's like, why did you call me Tonka when we were kids? I'm like, I don't know. South Carolina.
That's right, blew it, John. You blew it.
That's a great name for a fat defensive tackle guy. I absolutely love
right.
that Tonka truck. Round 6 again, defensive tackle JJ Pegas from Mississippi. Round 6, wide receiver Tom Millott from Montana State. Round 6, quarterback Cam Miller from North Dakota State. Round 7, linebacker Cody Lindenberg from Minnesota. Day 1 draft grade A+. It's really not hard to. Some people think he reached. Some people think the Raiders reached, but Ashton Jeanty is what it is. He's A+ across the board.
John, my thing, we talk about this. We talk this sometimes in fantasy. It's like people say, "Oh, well, was that the best value?" I mean, if you had taken him 4 picks later, 5 picks later, sometimes you take a guy where you can get a guy, and if he's the best player on the board, you take him where you get him. So here's the thing: is if the Raiders would have traded back and got him at 16, 18, 20, people would be like, that's the greatest move ever. But if they traded back and did that, there's a chance he wasn't there.
Right.
There's a good chance somebody else was going to grab him. So I have no problem with the move. To me, this seems like a pure Raiders move, going with the offensive talented guy. I think it's a great move. Just like Brock Bowers last year, when people are like, oh, you don't really need tight end. They just took the best player on the board. I like that move. I think it's a smart decision. They need running back help, man. They were terrible last year. Once they let Josh Jacobs go, it was a nightmare. I think Amir Abdul led them in rushing last year, if that tells you anything. So most people didn't even realize he was still in the league until he started getting carries midway through the season. So I think it's the play. I absolutely love the move. Getting GT, he's going to be phenomenal. Great landing spot for fantasy, which we love. Jack Besh, 2nd round, TCU. Big guy, started his career as a tight end at LSU and does a little bit of everything. I actually think there's some other wideouts I had higher rated than Besh here. But here, I'll tell you why I think Besh really works for the Raiders is you can do anything with Brock Bowers. You can literally move Brock Bowers anywhere you need him, match him up any way you want. So I like the idea that Besh and him can kind of play off each other. You never know which guy's going to run the go route, which guy's going to run the underneath route. Besh has got a pretty good blocking ability as a wideout because, again, he was a former tight end. He was one of the best receivers at LSU when he was a freshman before he eventually transferred to TCU because they were absolutely freaking loaded at wide receiver with stud eventual NFL players. So he ended up having to go to TCU. So I think he actually really fits what they're doing here. And that makes sense to take a bigger guy that can possibly help you block if you're going to be sending out your tight end on passing routes most of the time, which if you're the Raiders, that's what you should be doing because Brock Bowers is your best player. So you don't want to have him inside blocking all the time. So I thought Besh was a really nice pick. Darian Porter in the 3rd, tall, lanky, former wide receiver, track star, tall guy, 6'3" for a cornerback, can really play man press and then chase you down. I think he ran something in the 4.3s at the combine. So I thought that was a nice pick if you're going to play that style. They definitely need to help on the O-line. Caleb Rogers, Texas Tech, solid player. got to shout out to Charles Grant out of William and Mary. John, we met him at the combine, interviewed him, took a picture, sent it to my niece. She's going to be a freshman at William and Mary next year. So I was like, hey, take a picture, say hi to my niece, because she's going there. She thought it was awesome that a guy from William and Mary was at the draft or was at the combine. So she loved that. But yeah, he's a little bit of a project, but I actually thought late third round was a nice pick for him. Two guys that don't necessarily have to play right away, that they can kind of, throw in the mix kind of as they learn. So I thought those were two really nice picks. Dante Thornton is the old school Raiders pick. Now, taking him in the fourth round is not typical Raiders. Typical Raiders would have taken him in like the second round and way overdrafted him. But here in the fourth round is a nice pick. He's a super tall guy. I think he's 6'4", 6'5", 215, 20 pounds. Blazing speed. I think he ran a 4.29 at the combine. Guy can get. Here's what they want to use for Thornton: blow the top off it. Just go deep, open things up so we can throw the ball to Bowers, Besh, and Jacoby Myers. That's what they want, and that's what they got here. This guy is hopefully slightly better hands, but he reminds me of Marcus Valdez-Scantling. He's a speed guy, tall, can get deep down the field, spread it. Hopefully he ends up developing better hands. He averaged huge. He basically was a touchdown or bust guy in college. They either were chucking him for a deep ball and he was scoring, or he wasn't doing much else.
Yes. I mean, these 6'5" guys that can run the 4.29s, 4.30s. I mean, if they're not, I mean, they are a nice commodity to have on these. When a coverage breakdown happens, and this dude, you get a 6'5" guy that just burns somebody, the quarterback that fell, and he's wide open downfield. Nobody's catching him after that point in time. There's no safety going to catch up to a 6'5" guy that runs a 4.3.
Yeah, you just throw it up to him. Long arms, 32-inch arms. Big wingspan. Production score was low, but his athletic score per NFL.com was an 89, which if you put it with every other wideout in this class, he was sixth. Yeah. Sixth overall for wideouts in athletic score. So 4.3, 4.29, 1.51 split, so he gets off quick. 33-inch vertical jump, 10.6 broad jump, great athleticism. Like I said, 6'5", 205, skinnier guy. But again, he's not gonna. For fantasy wise, I will tell you right now, he is a best ball flyer. Yeah. Like if you're in a dynasty league that like takes taxi squad, or is a real deep team, he's a flyer. He's a guy that's gonna get you, one catch for 50 yards and a touchdown in a game, but he probably ain't gonna get you more than one or two catches a game. But I like him in the scheme of this Raiders team, which I tell you what, John, we talked about it in the first half. Some of these teams I have no idea what direction they're going. I don't know what their plan is. Other teams, I'm like, oh, I can see it. I can see the plan developing. I felt like the Raiders for once had a plan and stuck with it. I think Thornton was just a nice pick. Fourth round. I really wish they would have taken another running back. And I know people are like, well, you took GT at 6. Why would you need another one? Well, Raheem Mostert, 33 years old, is your backup right now. Now, I like him. He's got speed, but I would have liked to see them go like a 6th, 7th round back, someone that could spell GT a little bit and was a younger player. They didn't. It happens. Tonka, what can we say about him? That South Carolina defense was great. Any player that got drafted on South Carolina defense this year, I was like, he's good, because everybody on that defense was good, and you can't not take a guy named Tonka in Vegas. JJ Pegas, he was the guy. So here's the thing about him. So anybody that doesn't know him, he actually played fullback for Ole Miss last year sometimes. So they would hand the ball off to him like old Refrigerator Perry style and let him run through everybody for touchdowns. He also would block on the goal line, which I love adding this to GT. Now you put him in the backfield and you let him lead block for GT on the goal line. Sign me up for that.
Boom.
I absolutely love that move. The last couple guys, I know we're talking about a million guys on the Raiders here, but they had a million picks. Two of the last three guys, super interesting prospects. These are deep sleepers. I mean, deep sleepers. These guys you want to pick up on your free agent wire, or if you have a big team with a large taxi squad, you want to stash these guys. They're not going to play right. So the FCS used to be old 1AA. It drives me crazy. I always call it 1AA still. So 1AA, the subdivision for the big leagues in college football. North Dakota State played Montana State in the national championship game. These were the two starting quarterbacks. Tommy Malo for Montana, he's going as a wide receiver, but he started at quarterback. And then Cam Miller, we've seen a ton of guys come through North Dakota State. Most recently, Trey Lance, Carson Wentz, a few other guys in the past. So they've had real good success there. So Cam Miller, really interesting stash at QB there. And then Tommy Malo, I can't know if it's Malo or Malotz. I think it might be Malotz. I apologize for jacking his name up. He played quarterback, but he was a guy who basically ran the option, did a little bit of everything. I think he could be, and and obviously this is a me hitting the top end of the spectrum. He could be like a Julian Edelman type of player, like a guy that transferred to he ran supposedly, and I didn't see it officially, but supposedly he ran a 4.39. He ran for over 1,000 yards in college as a quarterback. He's 5'11", 200 pounds, stout guy, super athletic. Didn't get invited to combine, but like some pro day stuff I saw out there weren't official scores, but said he absolutely was off the charts. And that's why he said he would make the move to wide out. So couple players that are, maybe long-term stashes, guys to keep an eye out for, but Cam Miller could eventually end up being a nice little backup. And then, like I said, Malott, I like him. He's a guy that could he could be that sneaky guy that ends up getting into the lineup and doing stuff. So I thought the grade was great. A+ for day one, A for day two, A for day three, A overall. I liked it. They did a lot there. Raiders needed a lot of help, and I think they actually did a lot to help themselves in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, they had one first, 1 second, 3 thirds, and two fourths, and those are quality picks. So, I mean, the 6th and 7th, people can argue about, they're just flyers or, but you never know. If you're getting a guy like Cam Miller.
Those guys are guys worth taking chances on, right?
Sure.
Those are guys that we're taking a shot on, guys we're stashing a little bit. It's not like, let's be honest, it's not like the Raiders or the Eagles. So it's not like they're just loaded with guys and you're like, oh, these guys are throwaways. They'll never see the field for the Eagles. These guys could see the field for the Raiders. I mean, if you really want to look at if you just want to go down the depth chart, I mean, you got Trey Tucker, Jack Besh, and Jacoby Myers as the starting 3 wide receivers. Tommy Malott and Dante Thornton right now are the backups. Those guys are second string. They're the 4th and 5th wide receiver. They could definitely see the field. Another guy that's, I think, real interesting, undrafted free agent Zachariah Franklin out of Illinois. Originally went to UTSA before going to Ole Miss and didn't do much there. He was unbelievable at UTSA, led the nation in receiving a couple years. Dude is legit. Played at Illinois last year, undrafted free agent. I could see him sneakily making this roster. Obviously, fantasy purposes, he's not going to do anything for you, at least especially right now, but he's a sneaky guy in that mix. I like it. And then, like I said, Rodgers and Grant, right now, both those guys are set to be backups for that team. They're right in line. So I like what this team did. They didn't go much on defense. They those defensive tackles, some guys that worked their way in. And I thought Porter was a really nice pick, but they needed a ton of help on offense, and I think they hit the mark. Yeah,
I think the Raiders didn't do Raiders things this year. They used it.
I know, right? I guess I feel like I'm talking about the Steelers or Colts because I just went on and on about the Raiders, but I thought they had a really good draft. And for once, we weren't looking there and going like, what are they doing? This team's a disaster. You know what I mean? It felt like they actually had a plan and like kind of stuck to it. So I was actually, I thought they did a really nice job.
Doesn't it? Does it feel to you a little bit kind of like that this is just like the Thornton pick is they got who they think they wanted Trey Tucker to be, but just a faster version of him kind of thing?
Well, he's a bigger, deep threat. Trey Tucker's small, man. Trey Tucker's small. I mean, I got to look it up, but Trey Tucker's like 5'9", like one.
But like a speedy guy, that's what I'm saying, I guess.
He's a speedster. He can go deep too. I agree. And Trey Tucker actually had an insane route share last year, if I remember correctly, which I like Trey Tucker okay, but he should not be getting as many targets and everything as he had last year. I just felt like they figured out, okay, we got what do we have? We have obviously our best player is Brock Bowers. I think Michael Mayer gets in the mix this year. I know you love him, Notre Dame guy. Do not cut him, people. If you're going through your rosters right now in fantasy and you're like, oh, I got to make some draft cuts, I got to figure out some roster spots, don't cut him. I think he's going to be in the mix. I think they're going to run a lot more 12 personnel. I mean, you got to look at it. They just took a running back 6 overall. You're not going to tell me they're not going to pound the rock. They're going to try to pound the rock. I think here's my Raiders setup. They're going to pound the rock. They're going to run 12 personnel, which means 2 tight ends. Mayer's going to be their blocker. Bowers is going to be their slot guy who blocks and goes out. They're going to hammer the ball with GT. Then they're going to start running play action passes. They're going to hit Thornton deep. They're going to have Jacoby Myers on the other side, and then they're going to have Bowers doing everything else. And Mayer is going to be their drop-off guy. He's going to be the block, 3 seconds, roll out. Oh, boom, just drop it off to him, 2-yard pass, run a dude over, get 6 or 7. I think he's going to do a lot of that. I think Thornton, they think, hey, we're going to run a shitload of play action. We want a guy that take the top off. And there's like, I think if they think, here's the thing is, if you can get 1 or 2 deep completions to him a game and 1 pass interference call on a deep pass, that's a win. That's a win.
Where does that leave Trey Tucker, I guess, is what I'm asking. That's kind of like the thing.
Trey Tucker, I like Trey Tucker, the player. Fantasy-wise, I'm real nervous that he's there. I'll say this, John. I don't think there's any way he matches what he did last year. I just don't. They just have too many guys. They have too many people now. They filled in the blanks. He kind of was like the default guy last year because they just didn't have enough people to get the ball to. I still like Trey Tucker. I think he plays. I think he starts. But I fantasy wise, I'd be shocked if he sees much action in general. Just because I think now that you have Besh in there too.
Yeah,
I think Besh takes a ton of his targets away. I think
Tucker's
a lot of
use
those
on 3rd and like 6th when they need to get a first down and shit like that, because he's that kind of stuff.
Well, here's the thing is you're going to go here's what you're going to do. You're going to run a tight bunch formation. You're going to go tight end right, bunch left with Besh, Jacoby Myers, and Bowers in the tight with Meyer on the other side. Mayer on the other side, and you're going to run with G&T right behind all those guys. Besh can block, Bowers can block, Mayer can block. That's what they're going to do. Trey Tucker's going to get in there, but I think he's going to lose a lot of snaps this year. Yeah. And Thornton again, I don't think Thornton's going to run a ton of routes. I don't think he's going to play a ton, but they're going to have a couple plays a game they set up to go deep to him.
Yeah. Run, wear the defense down, and then put this guy out there to run.
Who's their coach, John? The guy you hate.
Yeah, Pete Carroll, buddy.
Pete Carroll, exactly. What does Pete Carroll like to do? He wants to pound the rock, dude. Pete Carroll wants to run. He's taken more first-round running backs than anyone. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Jamie is 100. Yep, top 5 in routes run last year. I'm saying it was a crazy stat. There's no way he hits that this year. I'm just telling you. And if you have somebody that reads that stat and you can sell him in your fantasy league, absolutely do it because he's not going to do that this year. If you could get a 3rd for Trey Tucker, make the trade.
Do it. All right, enough Raiders talk. We got to get out.
Yes, thank you. I'm John. I can't believe I talked that much about the Raiders. I don't know if I'll ever talk that much about the Raiders again. But hey, good job, Raiders.
We are rated out. All right. So next is the Los Angeles Chargers, who got an A- grade from. What was their team needs going into the draft?
Yeah, so Chargers, a team on the rise. We saw it last year. A couple injuries hurt them, but they started building behind Jim Harbaugh. Tight end, big must, wide receiver, D-line, running back, edge. So coming out, it looked like so they came in here, John. You were wondering if they go Najee. Would they sign Najee? They signed Mike Williams. Did you think, does that throw off the wide receiver running back that they needed? Well, they went with both those spots anyway, and I absolutely love that they did.
They round one, they picked Marion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina, which I was hoping fell to the Raiders. No more Raiders talk, but one more. I was hoping fell to the Raiders in round 2, but they got Genty in round 1. So I wish they would have, we're done talking about the Raiders, but the Chargers did get Marion Hampton to boost the backfield. Then they got Trey Harris, Mississippi, your guy, your table pounder. Then they got in round 3, defensive tackle, Jamari Caldwell from Oregon. Round 4, an edge, Kyle Kennard from South Carolina. Round 5, wide receiver, Kendra Lambert-Smith from Auburn. Round 5 again, they got tight end Arondé Gadsden, who was a son of one of my favorite old school Dolphins team from Syracuse. You like Arondé Gadsden because you're a humongous Syracuse fan. Round 6, offensive guard Brayson Taylor from Pittsburgh. Round 6 again, safety R.J. Mickens from Clemson. Round 7, cornerback Turquoise Bridges from Florida. A lot of defense here, but they addressed a lot of needs here. So that's day 1 draft grade A, day two draft grade of B, day 3 draft grade of A. How did Jim Harbaugh do? Because some of these picks just feel like Jim Harbaugh picks.
Yeah, I tell you what, I like this Raiders team. I don't know why. I lived in San Diego for a while, and they were horrible when I lived there. Like, they were getting blacked out every week because no one went to the games. That was when they bombed out and got Ryan Leaf. They were so terrible. I mean, nobody went to those games. But for some reason, because I lived there and I love the light, I have to just say it, the light blue jerseys, powder blue jerseys with the white helmets and the yellow pants might be the greatest.
Yeah.
Absolute setup. And I love it for uni. It's like the uni winner every year. It's phenomenal. I'm so glad they went back to him. Marion Hampton kills my Najee Harris shares. I love Najee, but I think this was the move. Hampton is really good, man. He's really good. I think, and I don't think he's good, but he went in the first round. I think he is a Jonathan Taylor type running back. I think he could be a Jonathan Taylor. Now, he's not quite as fast as JT, but and maybe it was him wearing the 28 jersey in college. JT 120, we're 23 at Wisconsin, but 28 for the Colts. But I think he's that type of player. I really like this move. Look at what they did with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins last year. Marion Hampton's a lot better than both those guys. Now, J.K. Dobbins, pre-injury at Ohio State, they're probably pretty similar players. But where he's at now, Marion Hampton's a much better player. Trey Harris, I'll pound the table for all day long. To me, John, this was my favorite landing spot for him. I was begging pre-draft, looking at the breakdown. I'm like, dude, if the Chargers can get Trey Harris at the top of the second round, it'd be my favorite spot. He was the deep guy for Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. He missed like 4 or 5 games at the end of the year with a growing pull. He had in his first 8 games over 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns. He would have had a insane year overall if he would have been able to play the whole year. Former quarterback, played at Louisiana Tech, made the jump to the big dogs in the SEC, and proved it back-to-back years at Ole Miss. I love him. People were down on him because of the speed, 4.54 at the combine. But, dude, watch the guy play. He gets by DBs all the time. So I don't care if he doesn't run a 4.4. He gets behind guys constantly on deep routes. So he doesn't run the most extensive route tree, but you don't need him to. Let him run the routes he's really good at, especially with Ladd. I think he's a very nice compliment to Ladd. I think this is a great spot. I think he's going to be the new deep guy. He's going to be who they wanted Mike Williams to be.
He doesn't land like an asshole.
I think he's going to be the guy. I love him matched up with Justin Herbert. Trey Harris is my wide receiver 4 in this class. Yes, he's my wide receiver 4 in this class ranking wise. I loved him. So I love that hit. Caldwell, Kennard, again, another South Carolina guy. They studs. Keandre Lambert-Smith, very interesting. Went to Penn State, just never got the offense involved because Penn State's offense was terrible outside this last year throwing to Tyler Warren. Went to Auburn, another team struggling on offense. Super fast guy, big guy. I think he ends up being eventual Quentin Johnson replacement. I think they let him go eventually. I think 6'1", 190, runs a 4.37, John. 34-inch vert.
He's going to replace Quentin Johnson and Mike Williams. He's going to be the
I agree.
guy.
I agree. So he's a 5th round pick. If you're looking for a deep flyer and you're like saying a league that is a 12 or 14 team league and goes 5 rounds in your rookie draft, he's a guy I'm taking in that 5th round.
Sure.
I think he has a shot to get past those guys. If not this rookie year, maybe he sits and learns this year. Maybe you stash him on the taxi, but next year, I think he's a guy that can work his way possibly in the lineup. He's a deep threat. He can go with Trey Harris. So I actually like that pick a lot. I thought it was a smart move. They're adding to the mix. And then to kind of finish it off for them, sorry, clicking too many pages. Gadsden, again, him and Trey Harris. This is hilarious. And I know we just happen to end up with the 2 teams I wanted to talk the most about. Aranda Gadsden, breakout age at Syracuse as a sophomore, had just under 1,000 yards as a tight end as a sophomore. Huge year. Was on everybody's Devy radar, was taken everywhere. If you were in a CFF league, he was like a 1st or 2nd round pick. Got hurt his junior year, basically missed the whole year. Came back. Kyle McCord got added to the team this year, and he just lit it up. Another year, just under 1,000 yards, leading receiver for them. I thought he was going to be a little undersized. I thought he was actually going to be more Harold Fannin size, and he ended up being a lot bigger. He's like 243, 245, which I'm impressed about. I thought he would, honestly, a lot of people are like, oh, he's a glorified wide receiver playing tight end. I thought he would be like more like 230 or under. At the combine, 6'5", 243, 34-inch vert, 9.6 broad jump, and just an unreal production score. He was 5th overall at tight ends on production score with a 78. He had a better breakout age and more college yards than every other tight end in the draft. People aren't going to realize that because all the other days they had. But Gadsden, love him. For me, I was like, man, he just needs to land the right spot with the right team, and he's going to have a legit fantasy spot. If he ends up on the wrong team, he's toast. He'll never do anything. The Chargers need tight end. Only guy in front of him is Will Disley right now. Like Will Disley and Tyler Conklin, but they're totally different type of the receiving tight ends than Aranda Gadsden. I think Aranda Gadsden, he might not be super fantasy worthy this year, but you stash him. I think they work him in. I think he ends up being really good. I've seen a lot of guys compare him to a possible upside of Darren Waller. I think that's true. Darren Waller, Antonio Gates from there. Antonio Gates was a guy that played basketball and then came over and played for the Chargers, Hall of Famer, unreal. Gadsden went in the 5th round, but man, I tell you what, if I've ever been excited about a late round tight end, it's this guy. I love him. He was going undrafted or 5th round in mock drafts before the draft. You better be ready if you like him. He is flying up draft boards. He is like getting taken at the very beginning of the 4th or end of the 3rd now. He is moving. I really like him. To me, Chargers, him and Trey Harris, I thought the perfect landing spot was the Chargers, and they both went there, so I was ecstatic about it.
Yeah, well, first of all, Jamie says he's just picked off guys off waivers, 15% of his fab. I want to know if you got outbid or you're the only person that bid. I want to know what the bids were.
I love that you got him off waivers. I was getting him in waivers and stuff, and now I was in a draft the other day, and I thought I was like mid 4th. I thought I could get him. He went 4-1. And now I'm in another draft coming up, and I'm like, I'm going to have to get him at like 311. I just made a trade in a league up into the 3rd round because I'm like, I'm going to make sure I get Aranda Gadsden at the end of the 3rd.
Tim King, new league jumping guy.
Nice. Thanks, Tim. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining in. But I think Gadsden is. I want to know, Jamie, who else bid against you on Gadsden, just to see kind of, because he was undrafted in leagues I was in too. But the problem is, all my leagues, the leagues I drafted so far, they have smaller, 20 total spots, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, if you're in a league like that, John, you're not going to get. It's going to be really hard to roster him. It's real. You're going to have to wait. Is he a breakout year 1? I don't think so. But he's a guy they're going to work in. I mean, I saw a quote from Harbaugh the other day, and he was talking to him, and he like hugged him, and he was like, "We wanted you bad. We've already got packages set up for you."
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what I want to hear. I know that's coach speak, but it just gets me excited. I'm like, yes, I'm like, get Gadsden out there. I really think he could be a really nice third weapon. I think it goes Ladd is their one. I think Trey Harris ends up being their number 2. I think Gadsden, maybe not this year, but I think he could easily be the number 3 target for them in the future. And I like it more because first off, the unis are awesome, but secondly, they're tied to Herbert. I love that they're with a good young quarterback. So I'm all in on the Chargers, man. They're going to break me this year because I'm going to be all over them in a ton of leagues and betting on them all year. We're going to see what happens.
I love when people come on here and they say, "What's up, fellas? Hope you're having a great rookie draft season." The funny thing is there's a lot of people that we know in this inner circle that are having all these drafts right now, and everybody else and their mother is like, "Drafts don't start till August. What are you talking about? Like drafts? Who's drafting right now?" Like, so it's just hilarious that Tim. Same page. I'm having a great draft season. I've got a couple done so far, but a hell of a lot more to go. And JT's in like 57,000 leagues. I dropped a bunch this year, which made me super happy. I want to drop 2 more because I'm not really happy about the commissioner just kind of implementing stuff and doing things. And I'm getting real close to dropping 2 more and starting, getting in a different like home league. But I don't know. Jamie says it was 20%, $500 budget. I put in 101. The next guy put in $6 and another 0.
Well, Jamie, I always feel bad when I pay way over what somebody else pays, but you know how many times I've got burned by like $1 or $2, and I'm like, why didn't I just buck up and put a couple more dollars in? Jamie, I think you're going to be happy with that move, man. Yeah. I really do. I think Gadsden's going to be, especially if you're on a team that needs tight end and you're in any kind of tight end premium league. Like I said, probably not a guy you play this year, but I'm getting him and stashing him wherever I can, man. I really am.
I like $1,000 budgets just for the fact of the matter. You get burned like $126 to $124. And you're like, oh, it hurts so much more. It just adds a little more salt. Instead of like $2 and $1.
Well, it's like whenever your budget's $100, it's so much easier to beat a guy by $1 or $2 because you just can't go crazy. When you're at $1,000 budget, the range is so crazy. Like, do I go 101? Do I go 97? Do I go 125? You know what I mean? It's so much different than like, oh, do I go $23, $28, or $31? It just like seems like such a bigger range.
Right. You gotta get your guys. I always say
you do. Absolutely you do.
Like Buzz Lightyear says, reach for your guys.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So the next team is after the Chargers. We are talking the Los Angeles Rams with a B+ grade. So what was their team needs, JT?
Yeah, so the Rams making some moves early on. Nice job by them trading out of the first round. They needed linebacker, they needed cornerback, needed help on defense. Linebacker, cornerback, O-line, tight end, wide receiver is kind of what they were coming in here. Everyone's wondering what they would do. I like this draft, John. What do you think?
What I think was they traded for Devontae Adams, or they picked up Devontae Adams in the offseason. So that was one thing. They filled a need there. But they got in round 2, they got Terrence Ferguson at number 46. They got great tight end from Oregon, a fan favorite there for sure. Round 3, edge Josiah Stewart from Michigan. Round 4, they got running back Jarquez Hunter, another guy that is definitely on fantasy radars. Round 5, defensive tackle Ty Hamilton from Ohio State. Round 5 again, linebacker Chris Paul from Mississippi. In round 7, wide receiver Conta Mumfield from Pittsburgh. Day 1 draft grade A-. Day 2 draft grade B+. Day 3 grade C+. How did they do here this offseason, JT?
So, we've talked about it for a while with the Rams. They traded away all their first round picks for years on years on years and just never had any. They traded back in this one to grab some extra picks. I think it was a pretty smart move. A lot of people thought maybe they would go with Jackson Dart. They didn't. They traded out of that spot, let the Giants trade in, and the Giants took Jackson Dart. So obviously that was not on the Rams' radar, and the fact that they traded out to a team that took the guy that people thought they were going to take. Couple interesting picks. I'll tell you, John, this is the nicest B+ on an unsexy draft, but a solid draft. To be honest with you, none of these guys jump out at you and are like, oh, that guy's a stud. But all these guys are really good football players. Terrence Ferguson, highly underrated, played for Oregon, obviously an explosive offense. The guy's really underrated. Depending on where you look at tight end rankings, I knew people that had him as high as 4, and I knew people had him at like 7 or 8. Really good. Him going to this landing spot absolutely jumps him in my rankings for fantasy. I've been all over him in like the early to mid 3rd round in tight end premium drafts.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's gonna be really good, man. The fact that they traded out and took him with their first pick tells me they really like him. Tyler Higbee injured last year, getting older as well. Davis Allen and Colby Parkinson did not do it when Higbee was out. We've known what type of years tight ends can have with Matthew Stafford. I think Terrence Ferguson has a shot to come in and actually be a legit fantasy player off the bat. Now, is he going to score you a ton of points? No, but if you're struggling like I am in a couple leagues where Noah Fant is my best tight end, Terrence Ferguson, I'm all over going and getting Terrence Ferguson and playing him over Noah Fant. So I like that. Josiah Stewart, really, really solid player for Michigan. They had so many studs. He kind of got lost in the mix, but the guy's just got a motor. He doesn't need the attention. He's just going to keep playing. He's going to be a hard rotation guy. They've got those studs with Jared Verse. I think he was just a nice plug in there. Jaquez Hunter might be the most interesting fantasy guy here. So they've already got Kyler Williams. They basically took Blake Corum last year. Blake Corum barely played. He's basically a carbon copy of Kyron Williams. They're the same player. Kyron Williams is coming up here next year, with the end of his rookie deal. Jaquez Hunter, a guy that really got lost in this draft mix for running backs. A lot of guys that were ranked, people had ranked lower than him, he went way ahead of. He went in the 4th round, and they all went in the 6th and 7th round. Or he was, 4th round, and they went 6th, 7th round. I tell you what, I wasn't on him big in the rankings beforehand, even though I liked him. I'm getting sold on him. I think there's a chance that they are not super happy with the 2 guys they got, the fact that they spent 4th round capital on him. Jaquez Hunter's a guy's got some speed. He played in the SEC. He was really good for Auburn on a team that kind of struggled offensively. He's 5'9", 204. Runs a 4.40, so he's got that burn that those other 2 guys don't. Both those other guys run about 4.6s. So He's run the 4.4, athletic guy, 10 broad jump, 33 vert, 21 bench press, so he is strong. Production score, he was top 15 for running backs. I like him. I thought he was going to be a solid prospect. I was probably taking him late in drafts. He's moving up my board big time. He's probably honestly worth a mid-3rd now if you're taking him in fantasy drafts.
Yeah, I mean, he's still 22 years old, so he's not like
some of these guys. He's a 3rd stringer right now. Technically, he's 3rd string.
Right.
I wouldn't be shocked by mid-year if you start seeing a whole lot of Jaquez Hunter for the Rams.
He's a guy that could chew up a lot of outside, a lot of like non-early down work. He's definitely somebody who can stick on the field to do some with his speed. I know he's a kind of a. His BMI is 30%, but he's not like a between the tackles kind of guy is I guess what I'm kind of.
He's not super between the tackles.
Here's shit outside.
He does. Here's the thing. He's got a little more speed, got a little more wheels. Here's who I think he is. I think and I've said this on a couple other players, I think he's who everyone wanted Tank Bigsby to be. Like when Tank Bigsby came out of Auburn, they're like, oh, he's going to be. I think Jaquez Hunter's a whole lot better than Tank Bigsby with a lot more juice. So if you were Tank Bigsby guy, I think you're going to like Hunter. And if you were on Blake Corum, I hate to tell you, I don't know if Blake Corum's going to ever get a shot at this point. If I liked Corum last year just because I thought him and Kyron Williams were the same player. So I'm like, if Kyron Williams gets hurt, they better basically replace him with the same guy. You're golden. The fact that they went and got Hunter in the 4th with not a lot of picks and trading back, that tells me they're not super happy with the 2 guys they got in front of them.
I just traded Blake Corum for a 401 in the league, and everybody's like, what? He's a backup. What are you talking about? What are you doing? I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. And then they end up taking Jaquez Hunter, and I'm like, okay. I thought they were going somewhere else, and they're going to have to move on because Kyron Williams, although they've been using him a ton, the end is near for Kyron Williams too.
I think they like him. There's no way they're signing him to some big extension.
No, not at all.
There's just no freaking way, man. It's not coming.
Right. And I'm thinking, Jaquez Hunter is not a 3-down like animal back. He likes to bounce it outside and kind of like just He's right on the edge of being a power back and being like a receiving back. He doesn't really know. He needs to either add some weight and go up the middle, or kind of just kick or lose some more weight and kick it to the outside. One of those kind of deals. So
yeah, the late picks here, I'll just real quickly mention them. Mumfield was pretty solid at Pittsburgh. He's a backup right now, but I don't know if I believe in Tutu Atwell as the third wideout. Mumfield's a guy to keep an eye on.
Yeah,
if he plays really well, Jordan Whittington's still there, but Mumfield's a guy I could see getting on the field for this team. So keep an eye out for him as a possible free agent pickup and stash. The other guy, Chris Paul Jr., a little bit undersized. The guy was an absolute tackle machine at Ole Miss. I think he had like a 4% tackled miss rate. I mean, he brought everybody down. They are really struggling at linebacker. They lost a couple guys in the offseason. Christian Roseboom was the kind of guy that stepped in because everybody else got hurt, was productive, not the most athletic guy, but productive. Omar Spates, Troy Reeder, another undrafted guy, been in the league now 6 years. Maybe he wins the job. Nate Landman, I think, is going to be the first man up to get a chance. The ex-Atlanta linebacker, he's not quite as athletic as Chris Paul. Chris Paul, they really do like a one linebacker set with like three safeties, with like two box safeties is kind of how they play. If Chris Paul, and I know we don't like to get into a lot of IDP talk on this show, but Chris Paul is a sneaky IDP pickup in leagues. I mean, if he ends up winning this job, which he has a shot to do, he would be crazy value right now. And to me, I thought he would go late in drafts just because he's undersized. Getting him late fifth, I thought was an absolute steal by them. But hey, Kanata Mumfield, I don't think you're going to need to pick him up anytime soon. You're going to run the waiver and spend a bunch of money on him. Keep your eye out, though, this summer. I think he could take over for Tutu Atwell as that third guy. He was real productive at Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Yes. What do they call that? Like a 3-2-3 or something like that with a fat nose tackle, a couple of defensive ends, and then
they like to run a big forefront, two huge D tackles to kind of fill the run, two edge rushers from the side. They like to run like the old school. You would call it a dime defense.
Yeah, right.
Is what they used to call it. Nobody really does that anymore. They call it a dime, and basically instead of running 6 DBs deep, what they do is they run one deep safety, 2 corners, and then they have 2 box safeties that kind of play up kind of mid on each outside of that linebacker. That's kind of how they do it, and they love to run that. I told people last year, Cameron Kitchens, when he got drafted, they're like, where's he going to fit with those other 2 safeties? I'm like, they're going to play 3 of them. Don't worry, he'll play, and he does. So whoever ends up being the linebacker for the Rams is always super valuable fantasy-wise because they only play one. Like the one guy gets all the snaps.
So I got we talked about the Bears yesterday, but just Bears questions for Chicago guys, we got to kind of answer them. Any thoughts on the Bears 7th round pick? We talked about this yesterday, where he could be the number 2 back. I put a tweet out yesterday, I think maybe yesterday or 2 days ago, saying that he might be the David Montgomery in this offense. Like he could be the guy, the early down picks, the early down work that they're using Swift as the receiving back. I mean, he could. I love Roshan, but Roshan, I think because of the concussions, they tried using him as just a receiving back and not pushing him down everybody's throats. But yeah, if you ever watch like the film on Amanagai, so you could see him just barreling dudes over, dude. He is like a little battering ram, man.
Dude, he is. So here's the thing is, I keep trying to tell you got to look at this draft slightly different than past drafts. Usually if a guy gets picked in the 6th or 7th, he's dead. Like he's never going to see the field. He might not even make the roster. But this draft of running backs was so freaking deep that people just waited till the 6th and 7th round to take guys because there's still a million guys out there. But Nungai, if he goes last year in the draft, I think there's a chance he's a 4th round pick or a 5th round pick in last year's running back class. He just fell because there's so many. Go back and watch some of his tape at Rutgers. And the Bears, and I tell people this all the time, the Bears love Big Ten guys. They will watch a shit ton of Big Ten film. And if it's a question mark between a Big Ten guy and somebody else, they take the Big Ten guy. They always do. It's just what they do. But Nungai is a guy they really like. He was super ultra productive at Rutgers. I mean, guy was an absolute stud running the ball. Watch some highlight films. he absolutely lays dudes out blocking. They're going to love him as a blocking back. He can block, but he also is a runner. He's not a one-trick pony. He can do a little bit of everything. Dude is a bowling ball. I really think if you're looking for a sleeper, like who's a guy can stash that has a legit shot of getting fantasy playing time as a running back, Monangai is one of the few guys I think I would take a shot on. I'm not sure Roshan's got it. And we've seen DeAndre Swift, man. He is good at what he does, and he does some certain things well, but he's not
one of them.
He's just not gonna be the physical presence that Monangai is. I could absolutely see him stealing goal line touches next year for sure. And his pass blocking, he was one of the top 5 rated pass blocking backs coming into the draft, and he also can block on the run game too. So I like him.
He plays like he's 240, but he's only 210. I wonder how that's the problem.
I was gonna say he reminds me of high school when I was 160, 165, and I thought I was 210. And I just thought I could crush everybody. But yeah, he plays like he's a freaking huge, but he's not. So we'll see how it translates. But to me, I was a little disappointed the Bears didn't go running back earlier. But if they had their eye on him the whole time and knew they could get him late, then kudos to Ryan Poles and the Bears. They won that then.
Yeah. All right. Next up is the Miami Dolphins got a B+ grade. What do they have as far as team needs are concerned besides everything?
They really needed O-line help and then defense. They lost a ton of guys on defense, a ton of secondary, corner, safety for sure, and then defensive interior were the spots. So they were really places they had to feel as they lost a ton of guys in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, I think they're going to lose Jalen Ramsey's probably going to be gone too, right?
And the talk is that Jalen Ramsey they are searching for a trade partner as we speak. Yeah.
Well, they picked up defensive tackle Kenneth Grant from Michigan, not sexy pick, but also an absolute stud in the middle of the line. Then they got offensive guard Jonas Sevion. How do you say that? Seviane.
Sevenea, I think it is. Arizona. He was a guy a lot of people had as a possible late first-round pick. Played tackle at Arizona, but a lot of people think he's going to jump inside and probably play right guard for them.
Yeah. That's round 5 defensive tackle Jordan Phillips from Maryland. Another round 5 cornerback Jordan Marshall from Florida. Round 5 defensive backfield again Dante Trader from Maryland. Round 6 running back Ollie Gordon III. Mixed reviews on him from Oklahoma State. Round 7 Quinn Ewers from Texas at quarterback. Round 7 defensive tackle Zeke Biggers from Georgia Tech. Day 1 draft grade B-. Day 2 draft grade A-. Day 3 A+. What gives them the A+ in day 3? But let's start with the top, I guess. What do you think, JT, about Kenneth Grant?
I thought they would go D tackle or safety. In our mock draft, I had them taking Malachi Starks out of Georgia. So I thought Kenneth Grant was a good pick. I saw him all over the board in the first round.
Yeah.
A lot of people had him going 15, 16, 18, 21 to the Steelers, 20, 6 or 7 to the Lions, right in that mix. So he was all over that first run. He's a run stuffer. Guy just takes up space in the middle. That they needed that badly. I mean, badly. They got Zach Seiler inside, but Seiler is more of a kind of a inside tech pass rusher. So they really needed a guy that just played nose tackle and fill the whole gaps. He fills that out. So that's a nice pick. Always need O-line. Got to keep Tua from getting killed. So we got the first 2 picks. Then day 3 they didn't have a third round pick or a 4th round pick, but they kind of piled up guys in the 5th, in the 6th. Defensive guys, Dante Trader, solid. Jason Marshall, Jordan Phillips, all solid players. Nobody really to talk much about there. The big one, Ollie Gordon. We have seen, this is an interesting, Ollie Gordon's a guy we talked about, won the Doak Walker Award 2 years ago at Oklahoma State. Absolute beast as a true sophomore. And then Oklahoma State fell off the map last year. Their entire team sucked. They were terrible all around. They were just awful. I think they ended the year on like a 9-game losing streak or 10-game losing streak. They were so bad. Ollie Gordon was okay. He wasn't terrible, but their whole team was terrible. So he just didn't have much help at all. His rushing yards went from like 1,700 to like 800. It was a big drop off. If Ollie Gordon comes out last season, I think there's a legit shot he's running back 1 or 2 in the draft class last year. I mean, he probably doesn't get drafted high, but I think he maybe goes 3rd round last year. So that tells you the difference. He goes 6th round this year. I think he could have possibly went 3rd, 4th round last year. The big interesting thing is for the Dolphins, John, they've gone nothing but small speed backs. Yeah. And now here we go. Monster Ollie Gordon in there. I mean, Ollie Gordon is just a beast of a human.
He's like 230, right?
Oh, dude, the guy he's 6'1", 230, 32-inch arms. Obviously not the fastest guy at 4.61, but he will bring it. I mean, he's got a 34-inch vert and 10 broad jump. So, I mean, the guy is got athleticism. He's just not top end speed fast. But, I mean, he was the Big 12 player of the year as a sophomore, first team, all Big 12, 1,700 yards rushing, 6'1" a carry, over 2,000 yards from scrimmage. He had 21 touchdowns that year. I mean, absolute monster. He had almost 100 less carries this last season than he did the year before. Yeah. And part of that was he played 2 less games, but also they were losing in every game. They had to start throwing the ball everywhere because they were awful. I mean, they were awful. So people just stacked the box, forced them to throw. It was bad. This is a high upside pick. To me, in all honesty, I think he can be Brian Robinson Jr. type of player. He's not going to be super flashy, super sexy guy that everybody wants. But if he gets in there, he can be good. And to me, I like this move by the Dolphins because it's opposite of what they've done with Devin Achane, Jalen Wright. Small, speedy backs is all they've ever had. Mozart's now gone. They picked up Alexander Madison. He don't matter. I think Gordon is going to be that really nice second fiddle with a chain where they can get a guy with some power and they can use the speed. They can do that power and lightning kind of back. I actually like this. I'm super interested to see how the Dolphins use them.
They needed someone to chew some clock up instead of trying to use, just the plays that Mike McDaniel ran all last year was nothing but like, they didn't have anything to kind of wear the clock down. Everything was like a trick
when they
play
got up. Yeah, like you said, like when they got up, it was like they had no way to like push the pie. It's like as long as the game was early or they were winning, they could like run all these trick plays and plays outside and get the corner and put up points. But the second that didn't happen, they were just stuck in a rut. It's like they couldn't go anywhere. So I'm interested. I've seen Ollie Gordon go in anywhere from late second to early third in fantasy drafts, early to mid third in fantasy drafts. Kind of going to be interesting to see how people value him because obviously he's a clear-cut backup. He's a 2 or a 3, maybe even the 3 for them behind Jalen Wright. But he's a totally different style back. Does he steal goal line touches? Could he be a vulture? If he could, and in a non-PPR league, he might be a nice little flex play, a guy you could throw in on weeks when you're desperate at running back.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to
the only other guy to talk about, Quinn Ewers, Texas quarterback, 7th round. I mean, holy crap. If anybody decides they're staying in college next year, it's because of Quinn Ewers and Shedeur Sanders. 2 guys that were getting paid ungodly amounts of money in college and the NIL deals. I don't know exactly what they're getting, but I saw a valuation saying they're both making more than $4 million a year. They were a 5th and 7th round pick. They're not even going to come close to that on their contracts. So if guys are worried about whether they're going to get picked or not, they're going to stay in college next year. Ewers, a guy coming out of high school, was considered like one of the greatest high school quarterbacks in Texas history, and just never lived up to it. Had moments at Texas. Don't get me wrong. Like he had moments where he played some of the best teams in the country. The Alabama game a couple years ago, he was lights out. So we've seen it, but he also makes a lot of mistakes. He reminds me of a couple other guys in the past where like, man, they'll have some good games and you see those highlights and you're like, man, I really like that. And then he'll make a dumb play, stupid turnover. He's also really struggled to stay healthy, which of course is kind of funny. You put him with Tua. but I do think there's a real chance that he wins the backup job. They signed Zach Wilson. We'll see how long he stays there, but Ewers, they'll keep Ewers. He'll be on that team. He's a late round stash in a 2 QB super flex. If you have Tua, maybe you take him and you stash him.
Yes. Let's move on to the Minnesota Vikings, who have a B grade going in. What do they need, JT?
Yeah, so the Vikings came in cornerback, O-line, safety, cornerback, safety, O-line help were the big ones. Also, they could use a linebacker or two or maybe D-line. So it was really secondary help and O-line is what they came in, kind of the things they were like, hey, we really need to shore these up.
Yes, well, they took offensive guard Donovan Jackson from Ohio State in round 1. Round 3, they took Ty Felton, who I just got at the very end at pick 4 when it was only a 4-round draft. I got him in at 411, and I got him at 504 and 505 in 2 different drafts. I think that's a steal. I love Ty Felton, but round 5, the Vikings got defensive lineman Tyron Ingram Dawkins from Georgia. Round 6, they got linebacker Kobe King from Penn State. Round 6, they got tight end Gavin Bartholomew from Pittsburgh. Day 1 grade B, day 2 grade B, day 3 grade B minus. They got a solid B across the board. How do they do? Because I just talked about Ty Felton a little bit. I think he's an underrated player.
Yep.
They took him in round 3, but man, he's fallen deep in dynasty drafts because of the fact that they think there's so much talent on his team already. There's no room for him, but I disagree.
Yeah, people are worried about, hey, where is he going to get catches with Addison and Jefferson there, which is understandable. It really comes down, you really have to look at this draft and consider J.J. McCarthy is part of this draft. Heard all last year. They traded a ton of their picks to get him last year. So really this is, you could say round 1, J.J. McCarthy, round 2, round 1, McCarthy and Donovan Jackson, round 2, Felton, go on for there. But I actually like Felton. Jalen Naylor was okay last year. He did some things that helped them out. Felton is a much better athlete. He's a guy that crazy good speed. Jordan Addison, I think, is a highly underrated wide receiver. I like him a ton, but he's not a burner. So I think Felton, the idea they wanted to go get a burner, and he is that. So I think he ends up getting in the starting lineup with Addison and Jefferson. Again, a guy that's not going to get high volume, but he's a chance that he can get some big plays and touchdowns for you. Donovan Jackson, I thought, was an absolute outstanding pick. They needed help at guard. They were real bad at guard last year. They got him, and then they signed Will Freeze from Indy, and they signed Ryan Kelly from Indy. I think they've completely changed their inside of their offensive line, which was the worst part of their team last year, to go with the tackles, Darisaw and Brian O'Neill. Really like what they've done. Bartholomew's never going to be – This is going to be real interesting, John, for the tight end whisperer that you are. Keep an eye on all 3 of these guys and figure out who makes the roster, because they picked up Bartholomew late, but then they made 2 really sneaky undrafted free agent signings. Ben Urasek, who people absolutely had as a top tight end 3 years ago at Stanford, fought through injuries, transferred to Georgia, couldn't get on the field at Georgia, injury problems, and just a deep group, never got on the field. He was a guy 2-3 years ago people thought would be like a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Bryson Nesbitt from North Carolina, another guy that people were talking about if he came out last year or the year before, because he was one of the top targets for when Drake May was at North Carolina. It was Josh Downs and Bryson Nesbitt. Those were his top 2 guys. So keep an eye on this group, because I think whoever makes it in this group, makes the team between Bartholomew, Urasek, and Nesbitt, is a sneaky stash behind TJ Hawkinson. I really do. So again, short leagues, you're never going to do that. But if you're in a high tight end premium league or a start 2 tight end league, keep an eye out over the summer which one of those guys ends up making the roster. Whoever does, I'm telling you right now, I'm picking one of those guys up.
Yeah, especially if something happens to Hawkinson. Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's it opens up a ton of targets across the middle of this field. I think that Ty Felton is also somebody else who can he gets open everywhere. He's a really good receiver, so I'm really happy about that. If Addison if he gets suspended and they what's wrong? Well, who was it? Naylor did pretty well in backup last year.
Naylor was nice last year. He's not a great player. He really did actually a good job when he had to play for them last year. That's why I think they went and Felton. I think they realized like, oh, we like Naylor, but Naylor really needs to be our 4th or 5th wideout, not our number 3.
Right. And I think Felton could be, I mean, he's probably the number 3, and he has a potential after a half a year to be actually the number 2 behind, if Jordan Addison does.
I love Jordan Addison. If Jordan Addison gets her out, Felton is going to be is going to be counted on for a lot. But I'm on the Jordan Addison fan club. I like him a lot more than a lot of people. As the question was, hey, did Kenny Pickett make Jordan Addison or Jordan Addison make Kenny Pickett? I think we've figured out Jordan Addison made Kenny Pickett. He also helped make Caleb Williams. He made Caleb Williams look awesome when he was at USC as well.
JT, the next team is the New England Patriots, the B+ grade. They what do they need? Because they got a lot.
Yeah, so Patriots here, they need O-line help. Got to protect Drake May. D-line, interior. Obviously, wide receiver has been looking for someone to be Drake May's number 1. Running back help, something they've been constantly looking for with Ramadar Stevenson's fumble issues, and then possibly tight end as well. Going down the list.
What they got here was offensive tackle Will Campbell from LSU, stud. Round 2, Travion Henderson, Ohio State. They picked him up right before anybody else can get to him. The great pickup right there because they improved their running back room. They got round 3, Kyle Williams, who I really like a lot, Washington State. He's following a lot of rookie drafts, but that's not going to last for long. He will be moving up boards fast. Round 3, center Jared Wilson from Georgia. Round 4, safety Craig Woodson from California. Round 4, defensive tackle Joshua Farmer from Florida State. Round 5, edge Brian Swinson from LSU. Round 6, kicker Andres Borgeles from Miami. Round 7, offensive tackle Marcus Bryant from Missouri. Round 7, long snapper Julian Ashby from Vanderbilt. And round 7, cornerback Kobe Minor from Memphis. They got a day 1 of a B-, day 2 of an A+, day 3 of a day 3 grade of a B. I'm not sure why you get a B- when you draft Will Campbell, but tell me about this, JT.
Yeah, I like this. I like this group a lot. Will Campbell, some people say, the short arms is great. He looked great in the SEC, man. He was really a strong tackle. Almost by everyone's boards, he was the number 1 tackle in this draft. Maybe you trade back here. I think you got to take him. Drake May, you got to protect your stud, your star quarterback. Travion Henderson, I thought was an absolute phenomenal pick, top of the 2nd round. Been in a couple of Dynasty rookie drafts so far. He's going top 6 or 7 in every one of them. There's very few drafts. I don't know if I've seen any draft who's gone outside of the top 7. I think he fits perfectly with his team. Great 3rd down player. I think he can play everything, but he blocks really well. One of the best pass blockers. Also great hands out of the backfield. Absolute breakout stud as a freshman. Ended up staying all 4 years at Ohio State, but huge breakout age as a true freshman. 5-star running back, was number 1 in the country coming out of high school. Love that for them. Kyle Williams, really productive player at Washington State this last year. Was at Texas Tech before that. I like him a lot. If you're in doing early drafts, especially on Sleeper, and you're doing a rookie draft right now, go down, type in Kyle Williams' names and find him. He is so far down the ADP list. I've been stealing him all over the place. He's going like mid to late 3rd in a ton of drafts, which absolutely blows my mind that he's going that late. But a lot of people they're not realizing he's there because he's so far down in the ADP. So go make sure you're looking for him and grabbing him. Gerald Wilson, really nice pick for Georgia, could play center or guard. Added some defensive guys with Woodson, Farmer, and Braden Swinson, all nice players there in the 4th, 5th rounds. Obviously got a kicker in the 6th. They're hoping, he can keep the kicking greatness going ahead there. Marcus Bryant out of Missouri, a nice guy, will be a good backup, can possibly make his way into a starter one day. Everybody loves a long snapper. I've said this before. I'm going to get my son long snapping this summer. He's going to start working on it. Long snapping is sneaky way to go to college and possibly make the NFL. So long snapper, I love that for him. Took a long snapper late, and then Kobe Minor out of Memphis, cornerback. So some defensive help there at the end, but I loved what they did at the top of the draft. You got to protect their day 2 grade of an A+. I thought was an absolute perfect grade. Henderson, exactly who they need at running back. Kyle Williams at wide receiver. I love it. And then Jared Wilson at center, going center, tackle, running back, wide receiver to start off this draft. Exactly what you wanted when you're trying to build around Drake May, your star quarterback.
Kyle Williams. Jamie Perrog says, I have Kyle Williams 6 of my 7 drafts already. You're doing it right, buddy.
That's right, Jamie. Jump all, dude. He's falling. People are forgetting about him, and because he doesn't have a cool name, he's just a regular old Kyle Williams. People miss him on the list, dude. I mean, I've had a couple drafts where people have got him like 4 or 5 or 6 picks way later than they should go, and people are like, "Oh, I didn't see him in the queue. I didn't see him in there. I didn't have him in my queue." I'm like, because I have lists where if you hit the ADP, he's at 9999 on the ADP. Like he's not even registering. So definitely make sure you go out and you find him. I like him a lot. I tell you what, John, I got Drake May in quite a few leagues, and you know me, I love the double up. I want that smash double score. I'm going to be picking up Kyle Williams in a lot of spots.
I already got him, man, and so does our boy Jeremy. So good stuff. Good stuff. Next up is the New Orleans Saints. They got a B- grade. What was their team needs?
So Saints coming in here, a lot of different ways they could have won in this draft. People were kind of talking about what would they do. That pick number 9 is where a lot of people said, like, okay, how is this going to change things? Because they just were one of those teams that everybody was like, we just weren't sure what this team was going to do. They've kind of done crazy stuff in the draft in the past. So it was a little bit open here. So they came in quarterback, obviously everybody, if you haven't heard the Derek Carr injury, they're uncertain about what he's going to be ready. At the beginning of the year, is he going to be able to play at all this year? What's going on? We don't know right now, but he's hurt. So obviously quarterback, a big need for them. Cornerback, they lost a lot of guys at corner in the offseason. O-line always is an issue, need help there, and then wide receiver and D-line.
And they got offensive tackle Calvin Banks, which, that was the Shadur Sanders spot. Didn't happen, but they got a good offensive tackle, which they absolutely needed. Tyler Show. I've heard a million different names, but I always say Show. That's kind of how
I always say Show. I think it's Shuck.
They said Show in college, though. I guess that when you watch some of the college games, they say Shuck. They say Show. But yeah, I've heard it from the NFL, but it's Shuck. They did the pronunciation, so I guess they would know better because they probably asked himself, how do you pronounce your last name? But
I think it's funny that these guys get their names misspelled or mispronounced in college, and then they come in the pros like, well, really, you say it this way. I'm like, why, as a college student, would you not go up and tell them that they're saying your name wrong? And it's like, I don't know if it's because kids are, they're kids. I think we always forget they're kids in college. But it's like maybe they just don't want to tell anybody. But it was like I've seen numerous guys in the last couple of years be like, "Oh, that's not how you pronounce my name." I'm like, everyone pronounced it like that for years. I watch a ton of college football, and I'll see guys come in and they're like, "Oh, you say it this way," and I'm like
Devin A. Chain.
I've never heard anyone call you it that way. It's so man. That's my little rant as someone who does play-by-play. On the radio, it's really frustrating when people won't just tell you how to say their name correctly, and then you get, my area. I do a lot of high school games, and then I get texts from people that are like, "Everyone's yelling at the bar, you're saying this kid's name wrong," and I'm like, "How do I say it then?" Like all the fans are mad at you. I'm like, and that's the one thing you don't want to do. You want kids to get the, you want them to say their names right.
My daughter made $60 announcing the softball game, just saying and introducing the people like their names. I'm like, make sure you go up to each person and ask them to pronunciate before you go up there, just so you don't make any mistakes. But she made $60 for just sitting there on a Saturday.
Nice.
Yeah, why not?
She gets a higher rate than me. I need to sign up where she's at.
Round 3, defensive line, Vernon Broughton from Texas. Round 3, safety, Jonas Sanker from Virginia. Round 4, linebacker, Danny Sturzman from Oklahoma. Round 4, cornerback, Quincy Riley, Louisville. Round 6, running back, Devin Neal. Very nice pick there. Round 7, tight end, Malik Matavo, UCLA. Round 7, edge, Fadi Diggs, Syracuse. They went on a bit of a defensive run there for a little bit, but offensive line was huge. Quarterback was definitely a need, but then defense. And then Devin Neal in the 6th round. That's a great pick. What do you think about the New Orleans Saints drafts?
So overall, I didn't love this draft. There was a few players I absolutely thought they stole. So I did think they got good value with a few guys. I didn't like. I don't understand the quarterback pick at all. I don't see it. The guy was in college for 7 years. He backed up Justin Herbert at Oregon. That tells you how long this guy's been in college. Justin Herbert's been in the league for like 4 years, 5 years. Yeah. He backed up Justin Herbert in college. Then he went to Texas Tech for a bunch of years, basically kept getting hurt there, and then turned around this last year, played at Louisville, had a solid year, but not spectacular, was just over 3,000 yards, had a pretty good year. Obviously, the guy has some skills, big, tall guy, arm strength, can make the throws. He just seems like more of a project to me. I know I saw some people in the pre-draft quarterbacks in the pre-draft analysis, and they're like, I love this kid. I think he can do everything. I'm just not sure. If this works out, I'll eat it because good for them. But this feels like bust written all over to me. Taking him in the second, I didn't see it.
Who loved Tyler Shuck? He's like, oh, Tyler, watch this. He's going to be drafted on day. He's going to be awesome. He's going to make the team. He's going to be this and that. He had him picked, I think, to the I forgot who he said, but he loved Tyler Shuck. That was his guy.
And there was a lot of people that did like him. My thing is you have to go 7 years in college. And granted, he fought through injuries and had to back some guys up, but he had literally one productive year in college. To me, that's tough, man. If I'm taking a guy that I think is kind of a project, I'm taking a Jalen Milroe, who I don't think is as good as a quarterback right now as Tyler Shuck is, but I would rather take a guy, high athleticism, younger player I can build. Like, if you don't play, again, for me, I feel like you're just taking Spencer Rattler and Hainer. And I feel like literally that Spider-Man meme. You got 4 guys all pointing at each other, and they're all the exact same quarterback. Right. I think they're all the exact same. If there wasn't a Derek Carr injury, do they make this pick? That's my other thing. If Derek Carr is not hurt, do they make this pick? I don't think they do.
I think what happened here was they thought Tyler Show was a really smart quarterback, and I think that he's going to be the backup. I don't think they're planning on winning this year. I don't think they're going all in anyway. But they took a quarterback at 40 to learn the system. Force him in there to get a chance to or maybe get in there at some opportunity. But I think they see Tyler Show as a mentor to a lot of people because they think that he understands the game of football so well. They said it like his way of reading defense is just like he's like an elite reader of the football, kind of reader of defenses, but he just can't translate that onto like throwing the ball or getting it done, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out for them. The defensive picks, okay. There was other guys I liked out there better. I thought their best defensive pick was Danny Stutzman, stud at Oklahoma. Again, one of those guys, not going to jump out of the gym. He's not an athletic freak. He doesn't blow you away with any of the metrics, but then you watch the film, the guy just plays hard, fights through everything, never gives up. I really like this. They're getting older at linebacker. Demario Davis, how many more years can he continue to just get tackle after tackle? He's up in his mid to high 30s now. He's an older guy. And then you got Pete Werner, who's really struggled to stay healthy. I think Danny Stutzman is the guy that could see the field sooner rather than later. So I actually really liked him. He was one of my top 5 off-ball linebackers. So getting him in the 4th, I thought was a really nice deal. And then one of my absolute favorite players in this draft, and John, I have to tell you, I'm still shocked he fell to the 6th round. Devin Neal. I love Devin Neal. I thought Devin Neal was my RB5 in this class. Again, another player. Doesn't blow you away the metrics. Runs like a 4.58 40. But just ultra productive at Kansas. If he comes out last year, I think he's the running back 1 or 2, maybe RB3 last year in the class. So he's a guy who went back to school, played all his years there, is basically leads Kansas in every category ever. I just think he's a good football player. I think he's a stud running back. He's not going to break off 70-yard runs, but he's a guy that can be consistently good and does everything well. He's above average or a plus player at every aspect. I really like him. I can't believe he fell. I thought 3rd, 4th round for him. I really did. I thought if he got to the 4th, he was going to be an absolute steal. Him getting to the 6th blew my mind, John. Blew my mind. I love him. He was going like early to mid second in every mock draft before. Now he's dropping into the 3rd, like mid 3rd to late 3rd in most drafts. Still getting picked because he's high in the ADP. And people still like him even though it was a 6th round pick, but I really love him. I think he's a great fit behind Alvin Kamara, and I don't believe in their other running backs. Kendre Miller, sorry, I don't like Kendre. The only guy on the team that's awesome but isn't in the starting mix is Xavier Valade.
Stud the Brother Rice High School.
Yeah, that's right. Brother Rice. He's on the roster, but I just think Devin Neal is better than every one of those guys other than Alvin Kamara. And Alvin Kamara is no young pup. He's got
53 touchdowns with over 1,000 yards in 3 of his 4 seasons, and he's only 21 years old.
Yep.
I mean, that's a lot of production.
A ton of production. Wasn't a freshman playing as a freshman at 17 at Kansas. Super young kid. So again, one of the few guys that stayed in college all the way through and is still only 21. It's just wild. I think this is going to be looked at as a steal. I know there's players that got drafted in the 3rd and 4th round at running back, John, but I'm really struggling to find myself not taking Devin Neal over those guys. I just still like him a ton. I thought he was the steal this draft, especially for fantasy purposes. I absolutely loved him. And then I'll talk about my last guy real fast. Fadil Diggs, 7th rounder out of Syracuse. Guy was a beast off the edge at Syracuse. I thought he might go a little earlier in this. I thought maybe he had 5th, 6th round potential. Goes late in the 7th. I really like him. He's a kind of a future guy for them. He won't start by any means, but he's a guy that could work his way up through the system and eventually see some playing time there, depending on what happens with some of these edge rushers for them. But he's a guy I like a lot.
Devin Neal picked 310 and picked 401 in a couple drafts. How does that feel right, or is that like a steal?
He was like 2.2 to 2.6 pre-draft, like before landing spots. So if you're getting him late 3rd, early 4th, I freaking love it. I tell you what, John, I got my eye. I made some trades in the last 3 days, and I've traded into the late 2nd and into the late 3rd because there's some guys I really like in that range. I'm really hoping I get Devin Neal somewhere around there. I'm really hoping Rondé Gadsden I get really around there. Those are dudes I'm looking at. And then those tight ends, like we talked about, Mason Taylor, Ferguson, Arroyo, guys I like possibly in that mid and late 2nd, early 3rd. So I like it. If I got Devin Neal at 4-1 in the league, I'd be ecstatic.
Devin Neal or this guy's got J.J. McCarthy already. Sam Howell and Marshawn Lloyd or Devin Neal in a Superflex Dynasty.
Trading Sam Howell and Marshawn Lloyd for Devin Neal?
Sam Howell and Marshawn Lloyd, but I'd get Devin Neal back.
Ooh, I think Devin Neal and Marshawn Lynch are pretty similar because here's the thing. Marshawn Lynch went in the 3rd last year to Green Bay, right? Yeah, right. I think Devin Neal goes in front of Marshawn Lynch last year. That's how crazy it is. I think Devin Lloyd gets drafted before Marshawn Lynch last year, which means he would have been a 3rd rounder where he's a 6th this year. It seems crazy. And usually, we usually say draft capital is king. Oh, if he's getting picked in the 6th, then teams obviously don't like him. You're wrong. He sucks. I don't think he does, though. And I think the depth of the running back group just really pushed some guys down this year. Oh, man, that's a toughie for me. I think that's even. I really think that's a fair trade. Depends on who you like. I like Marshawn Lloyd a lot, but I think I like Devin Neal, man.
If something happens to McCarthy and Howell gets a starting role, I'm going to kick myself in the ass every day for doing that.
I would too. Did you have McCarthy?
I do. I traded McCarthy away I traded McCarthy and Jameson Williams to get Caleb Williams. So I got Stroud, Jaden Daniels, and Caleb Williams on my team now. So I had to consolidate a lot of players.
Okay, so you have Howell, but you had McCarthy and you traded away McCarthy. So now you have the backup, but he's not on your team.
You're right. I like keeping backup quarterbacks. I like keeping backup quarterbacks.
I know you do. I know you love stashing tight ends and QBs. I think it's an even trade. If you want the quarterback, if you need to have the backup, I'd say keep him. I
got too many quarterbacks.
I almost think you could do Lloyd. I think Lloyd and Neal straight up is fair, to be honest with you. I think that's a pretty fair. I mean, Lloyd was going mid-2nd round last year. So if you're getting Devin Neal is going late 3rd, early 4th, whoever has Lloyd has to feel like they're winning that trade.
let's see if I can do that. Okay, let's do Lloyd for Neal straight up and see if that goes through. Okay. I
mean,
have too many. I gotta get rid of like 2 guys, so that's the only
I know
problem.
value wise, I think it's pretty even, and you got to look at Lloyd was a higher draft pick and a guy that was, they're both stuck in backup roles right now. Higher draft pick and a guy that went in the mid seconds last year. But I think they're pretty even players. I would have had Devin Neal ranked just slightly ahead of Marshawn Lloyd last year.
I got to get rid of 2 guys. Okay. So who else can I add to this trade? CJ Stroud, no. Caleb Williams, no. Jaden Daniels, no. Sam Howell, possibly. Barkley, no. Bijan, no. Jonathan Brooks, probably not. Trey Benson, possibly. I really don't trust Trey Benson, but he's going to have a really big role no matter what. Jalen Wright, we just talked about the Dolphins. Should I add Jalen Wright to this? To that's a little too much, right? I like Jalen Wright.
Jalen Wright and Lloyd for Neal?
Yeah, is that too much?
That's too much. Too much. I really like Neal, but you got to look. Both those guys went mid-second round last year, John. Lloyd and Wright both went mid-seconds last year.
Right, and Wright's so much faster. Omarion Hampton, no. Austin Gentry, no. Zach Charbonnet, no. I'm not doing that. I like Zach Charbonnet too much. Then I got Malik Neighbors, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Garrett Wilson, McConkey, Odunze, Pearsall, Jaden Higgins, Ty Felton, Golden, Matthew Golden, and Kyle Williams.
These guys are all on your team?
Yeah, I got Bowers and Laporte as my tight
You're
ends.
freaking loaded. We're gonna have to break that trade down later. I gotta go because we're gonna have to figure out like a 3-for-1 where you get an absolute beast back because you're loaded on that team.
I am, I know. All right, so
and John, just said we're at the hour and 30-minute mark, so we got to keep it under 2. So right. We'll get through these last couple teams here.
All right, next one is the New York Giants. What are their team needs?
All right, Giants coming in, quarterback, obviously the big need, even though they did sign Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston in the offseason. O-line to protect that QB, D-line, linebacker, wide receiver.
5, 6, 7, 8. Damn, we got 8 more teams to go still. Okay, we're gonna get through these fast.
That's what I'm saying. We're gonna move now. We'll move. I won't chat. The teams I want to talk a lot about, we talked at the beginning, so we'll move through these last couple.
Round 1, Abdul Carter, edge from Penn State. Round 1, Jackson Dart, Mississippi. Round 3, defensive tackle Darius Alexander from Toledo. Round 4, running back Cam Scadaboo. This is a good team to talk about. Unfortunately, we're trying to save time, but there's some good people to talk about here. Round 5, tackle Marcus Embo from Purdue. Round 7, tight end Thomas Fedor, another. I want to talk about him too, but Nebraska. And then round 7, cornerback Corey Black from Oklahoma State. Day 1, grade A. Day 2, grade A minus. Day 3, grade A. How did they do here, JT?
Yeah, I think it was a good draft. Abdul Carter at 3, I think was the call. Super stud. They got to bring the pressure. Whenever the Giants have been good in the past, it's because they have had a great pass rush. I love adding him to Burns and Thibodeau. Jackson Dart. The question is, do you love Jackson Dart or not? He was my QB3. I don't mind him going in this spot. Does he work out in New York? That's the question. Always a lot of pressure in New York. I don't mind them trading up to get him there. I think they maybe thought they could get him at the top of the second, which I would have loved if they could have. But I understand making the move. They didn't give up a ton to get back in the first. So they actually gave up less to get back in the first than the Falcons did to move back into the first and take the player right after him. So it was a little surprising there. Darius Alexander, nice defensive tackle. The guy everybody loved at the Senior Bowl. Nice third-round pick there. Cam Scadabo, the legend that is Cam Scadabo in the 4th. Question was, where was he going to go? I have to tell you, John, loved this spot.
Yeah.
Love this spot for Scadabo. I'm not a huge Tyrone Tracy guy. I've got him in a couple spots. He's okay. I thought there's no way they don't go running back in this one. Scadabo, I love it. He is clear-cut top of the second, mid-second. I've seen him go typically 2.4 to 2.6 in most of my leagues. That's kind of where he's going. You can't get a better spot for him. I love him in the top of the 4th. It was like the second pick or third pick of the 4th. So, I mean, to me, that's your end of the 3rd rounder, especially if you're a running back in this draft class. So I love him basically almost getting 3rd round draft capital. Love that. Embo from Purdue. I thought he should have gone a couple rounds earlier. I wanted the Colts. I thought he would have been a really nice pick for the Colts. Fedone was the guy that came on late for Nebraska. People really started jumping up. They already got Theo Johnson. I feel like he's kind of like a Theo Johnson clone, which means you're going to love him. So that, and then Corey Block to finish off. I thought it was a nice job by the Giants all around. Fantasy assets, Jackson Dart. He's the biggest one. I've seen Dart go as high as 110, and I've seen him go as low as 2.6. So it really is going to depend on your Superflex league who likes him. Jamie says Dart was my QB1 for fantasy. A lot of people did. A lot of people had him. I had him QB3. I had Sanders, Ward, Dart, and then McCord with those top three guys as my top ones. I thought all three of those guys would go possibly first round, and if one of them did slip, it might be Dart to the top of the second round. So I like it. Good chance he sits this year. There's a good chance he sits behind Wilson and Winston, but we'll see. I mean, that coaching staff is on the ropes. Maybe they sooner rather than later they pull the trigger, because if they have a terrible year this year and the owner doesn't tell them like, hey, we'll let you sit Dart for a year and then go. To me, I just don't understand you let them draft Dart and then turn around. And if you fire this coaching staff after a year, what did you do? So it doesn't make much sense to me. Supposedly Brian Dable absolutely loved Dart in their interview. So I think that was the selling point. So I don't have much Dart, but I think I need to get my head out of my ass and kind of think about taking him a little earlier. I've been kind of waiting to see if he drops to me, and he hasn't. But I haven't really needed him in a lot of the drafts I've gone so far. But I did like what the Giants did.
Yeah, Jeremy said he was quarterback one. He was his quarterback one. So, yes, I like what the Giants did.
I loved him at Ole Miss, man. He slung it at Ole Miss. The biggest question is whether, he can read and move and react, because they did a lot of one read and throw. But he was an absolute beast. I don't even remember if he was the top quarterback, number one overall. I know he was like top 5 coming out of high school. So he went to USC before he transferred to Ole Miss. I mean, he was a huge recruit.
Yeah. Let's jump to New York Jets. B+ grade across the board. What was their team needs?
Team needs O-line, wide receiver, tight end, safety, D-line. Obviously got Justin Fields in the offseason, so kind of took the quarterback out of it. A lot of people thought they might go QB. I think they're going to try to give Fields a shot to run it, which I'd love to see. Helps for fantasy purposes. Definitely got to protect him and give him more weapons. That was the need of this draft.
Well, they got offensive tackle Amon Membu from Missouri. Everybody loves him. Mason Taylor, your boy from LSU, tight end in round 2. Round 3, they got cornerback Erzy Thomas. How do you say that? Azair, right?
Azare. I heard him say it a couple times, and I couldn't remember how they said it.
Azair Thomas, wide receiver Arian Smith from Georgia. At round 4, safety Malachi Moore from Alabama. Round 5, linebacker Francisco Maguire from Miami. And round 5, Tyler Barron, edge from Miami. Day 1, B+, day 2, A, day 3, B. How did the Jets do?
I like this. The Membu pick I thought was great. Now, the big knock on him is he played primarily right tackle at Missouri. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times people are like, oh, taking a right tackle in the top 10. But here's the thing. Whenever you have a rushing quarterback, I almost think the right tackle is more important, because that guy's always moving, looking to get out. He wants to see the guy on his side in his sight line because he's moving. So I thought Membu was with Will Campbell, clear-cut top 2 guys in this draft. I love Membu. I thought it was a fantastic selection. So I was in on that one. Mason Taylor, my love for Mason Taylor continues. Outstanding landing spot for him, top of the second round. There's buzz he might sneak in the end of the first round. I wanted to see the Colts take him in the second if they didn't get Warren. This is a nice spot. I don't know if he starts necessarily right away, but he's a guy I think will definitely hit by year 2 or 3. Jets is a nice spot for him. We've seen it with Cole Kmet. Justin Fields can find the tight end. I think Mason Taylor, highly underrated. I've said it before on the show. If he would have went back to LSU, he would have been my clear-cut number 1 tight end next year in the draft, and I think would have been a top 15 pick next year. So I think they got a steal, a little bit of a discount on him this year, as he ended his career as the number 1 receiving tight end in LSU history, son of Jason Taylor. Thomas, Florida State was awful. Awful. He was probably the only player that really had a good year at all for them. Goes in the 3rd. Played better than a 3rd, but not super athletic, so that dropped him a bit. Arian Smith, I thought, was a little bit of a reach at 4 out of Georgia. Speed demon, but never really did much as Georgia as far as getting much of a wide receiver share. Doesn't have a great route tree. Other guys I would have liked to see other than Arian Smith, so I was out on that. Malachi Moore in the 4th, Alabama. Love that pick. And then 2 Miami guys at the end. They're solid backup players in round 5. So love the Membu pick. Love the Mason Taylor pick. Everybody else for me were meh. I thought the Malachi Moore in the late 4th was a nice value pick.
Yeah. Yes. All right, next one. Eagles. Eagles got an A- grade. What was their team needs besides nothing?
Besides nothing and being the Super Bowl champs, safety as they lost CJ Gardner-Johnson was one. They also lost Darius Slay at cornerback. So those were 2 spots they were looking to fill. They had on here that D-line was a spot. They lost some guys, but they've crushed on D-line, so I'm not sure that was a super need. And then edge and outside, edge and O-line. But even though O-line, I think they always throw that in for everybody, even though their O-line is awesome.
Traded up in the 1st, got Jahad Campbell from Alabama. Then they got a safety in round 2, Andrew Makuba from Texas. Round 4, they got a defensive tackle, Ty Robinson. Round 5, more cornerback help with Matt McWilliams from Central Florida. Round 5, they got a linebacker from Smell Morden Jr. from Georgia. Round 5, center Drew Kendall from Boston College. Round 6, quarterback Kyle McCord from Syracuse. Round 6, offensive tackle Miles Hinton from Michigan. Round 6, offensive tackle Cameron Williams from Texas. I love to see all these offensive linemen. Round 6, edge Antoine Power Randall from Virginia Tech. Day 1, grade A. Day 2, grade B+. Day 3, grade A. Exactly what a team that didn't need anybody needed was to get all A's across the board almost for a draft.
Like I said,
how do they
John, the rich get richer, right? That's just kind of what the Eagles do every year. It feels like they crush the draft. Everybody goes into him. I love the Jahad Campbell pick, obviously coming off a shoulder injury. To me, he was the clear-cut number 1 off-ball linebacker in a very thin class for off-ball linebackers. I love the move. If they had one spot they really were thin on, it was linebacker. Zach Bond came over and played out of his mind last year. Career year for him that no one saw coming. They re-signed him. Nakobe Dean, a guy I really like, a Georgia guy, seriously hurt. Not sure if he plays this year. So Campbell is a nice pickup to go behind him. Jeremy Trotter Jr., 5th-round pick last year. He's more of a special teams guy and a backup. You don't want him starting every week. Campbell, to me, was the absolute need pick for them. I love it. He started his career as an edge, and they moved to off-ball linebacker because everybody in front of him was just loaded. I mean, they just loaded with NFL talent. They're like, hey, can you move so you can play? Because, like, you're not going to play. So he moved to off-ball linebacker, but he's good blitzing off the corner, can do everything. They didn't have to give up much just to move up the one spot to guarantee they got him. So I liked it. I wasn't quite sure why they traded up to get him. Unless they, for some reason, thought Kansas City was going to take him, which would have been a little bit of surprise to me, but I don't mind it. Makuba, I like him at safety for Texas. So losing CJ Gardner, he's more of a backup here because they already have Sidney Brown from Illinois. They have Reed Blankenship. 2 guys are really solid. So Makuba is more of a backup, kind of just in case one of those guys get hurt. Sidney Brown coming off an injury. Ty Robinson, 4th round defensive tackle, I thought was a great pick. He was a guy going up late in drafts. People were like kind of really liking. He could play. They don't need him to play. He played some nose, but he's more of a 3-tech to a 5-tech in that type of system. I really like him. I would not be surprised if he finds his way into the starting lineup sooner rather than later. And then all the rest of those guys were pretty much all backups, just filling spots and getting behind. One of my favorite picks, 6th round, Kyle McCord. I loved him. He was my QB4. I was hoping the Steelers would take him earlier. He's a New Jersey kid, so this made sense. He, spent time. I take that back. No, he's from Philly. Excuse me. He went to high school with Marvin Harrison Jr. in Philadelphia. Was a stud recruit out of there. So nice to see him back there. I think that's a great pick. I think he can eventually be a really good quarterback if he gets a shot. He's obviously a clear-cut backup behind Jalen Hurts here. I think he ends up winning this backup role. I think he's a nice selection of 6. In the 6th, maybe he's one of those guys that plays 1 or 2 games for Jalen Hurts when he gets hurt, or they're 13-2 2 and they don't need a win, and they play him and he has a monster game, and they turn around and trade him for a 3rd round pick in a year or 2, I could totally see that happen. But I thought Kyle McCord, who was my QB4, who went way after a bunch of QBs, I thought he should have gone ahead of. I actually would have thought if the Saints would have taken him in the 2nd round, I would have felt better about it. But
yeah. Well, then they got their offensive lineman and their edge, but they did great. They got 10 picks in this draft just to add on to the insult to injury. So good for them. They're going to absolutely kill it. Next is your Pittsburgh Steelers. I got an A. What was their team needs?
Oh, where are the Steelers, John? So sorry I talked about it. We weren't going to talk about a team a lot. But no. So the team names here for the Steelers, quarterback, obviously the most gigantic need that they decided to ignore. Mason Rudolph, still the man. Running back, obviously with Najee Harris going, D-line, wide receiver, O-line.
Okay. So what we got was at first pick, defensive tackle Derek Harmon from Oregon. On our 2nd pick, they traded away to get DK Metcalf. Round 3, Caleb Johnson, running back from Iowa. Round 4, edge Jack Sawyer, Ohio State. Pretty much won the national championship on that awesome play. Round 5, defensive tackle Yaha Black from Iowa. Round 6, quarterback Will Howard from Ohio State. Round 7, linebacker from Carson Burner from Washington. Round 7, cornerback Dante Kent from Central Michigan. A all 3 days across the board. So some pretty big picks here. I think the trade for Caleb Johnson was pretty nice. And Jack Sawyer, just maybe not the most athletic freak in the world, maybe not everything, but just a great football player. What do you think about this? What do you think about this draft, JT? How do you think they did?
Thanks. Sorry, a little technical difficulties for me for a second. It should be good now. I thought it was a solid. It was a very Steelers draft. Derek Harmon in the 1st round. Obviously, I would love to have seen him go Shador at some point. 21, I would have loved it. I would have loved it any round. But Derek Harmon, I thought, absolute stud. Reminds a lot of people of a younger Cam Hayward. I think it'd be fantastic. I think he's going to work out great for them. Caleb Johnson in round 3. I want him to go running back. Obviously, they didn't have a 2nd round pick because of the DK Metcalf trade. We've talked about it before, John. I'm not against Caleb Johnson. I just feel like Caleb Johnson is Najee Harris, to be honest with you. Everybody's like, oh, he's got more burst. He's faster than Najee. I'm like, I don't know if he is. He looked like he had more burst because he's running through huge lines holes at Iowa where Najee was getting hit in the backfield all the time for the Steelers. So I'm a little worried about that pick. Don't love it. Jack Sawyer in the 4th, I absolutely loved. That felt like 6 picks before that pick came up, I texted my cousin, who's a Steelers fan, Kirk, and I said, they're taking Jack Sawyer here. I'm telling you, it just feels like a Steelers pick.
Yeah.
Outside edge rusher, Nate Herbig, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith. I'm like, he is in the mold of those guys. I thought it was a great pick at 4. He's obviously going to be a backup right now. Yeah, Black, big guy. I don't love that. There's a lot of other guys I thought they could have went there. I would have liked to see him take 2 running backs. Will Howard in the 6th. I would have preferred to see Shador in the 4th or the 5th. Also would have rather sell McCord. I do like Howard okay. He was behind all those guys for me. He was, I think, my QB6. No, he was my QB5 in this draft class. So I did like him, but I think he could be good. I'm just not sure that he's the answer. But hey, we'll see. I think the Steelers have just messed this up. Carson Bruner, Washington, LB, okay. And then cornerback Dante Kent, 7th. He's not going to make the team. I'm really shocked that they went AAAA. To tell you the truth with this draft. I thought they did okay. I did not think this was an A draft across the board. I thought Derek Harmon in the 1st round was their best pick. I really liked that pick. No day 2. I guess you call DK Metcalf, so that's a nice up thing. Caleb Johnson, there are people who love him, John. We talked to people who had him as RB2 in their class. I'm worried that he's just not going to have the space with the Steelers that he had in college, and it's going to be a problem. Right. So, and he doesn't have a great receiving profile. Everyone complained about how Najee wasn't a receiver. I actually think Najee's a much better receiving back than Caleb Johnson. So I just don't understand this move where you could assign Najee to like a 5 or 6 year deal, 1 year deal, and instead you take Caleb Johnson, who's basically the same type player in the 3rd. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. My favorite pick probably was the Harmon and the Jack Sawyer picks.
Yeah, Jack Sawyer's a heart. Anybody who watches football, college football, would love the Jack Sawyer pick.
He's just a heart and soul guy. Was the captain of that Ohio State defense. Here's the thing: they got the offensive and defensive captains for Ohio State. Well, I mean, you could do worse than getting the offensive, defensive captains for the national champion. Getting, they if you go back and look at highlights for them. I mean, it really was like it was Will Howard and Jack Sawyer pumping everybody up on the sideline, yelling at each other when the other guy was getting ready to go in, saying, "Do this." I mean, two guys you got to root for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on to San Francisco 49ers B+. Where was their team needs going in this draft?
So Niners lost a ton of players on defense. I mean, a ton of players on defense. So this team, when they were making Super Bowls, it was the defense that was leading them. They really needed to fill out a bunch of spots. So D-line, edge rusher, O-line, running back, cornerback.
Just to reframe, Jeremy, Steelers got a big fat F.
I would not expect anything less from a Browns fan. I'm not even gonna hate. He said I would have also liked to see Shadur Sanders on the Steelers. So that's why I would have loved to see Shadur on the Steelers. And Jamie, as a Browns fan, did not like the fact that Shadur's on the Browns. So we both agree on that one, Jamie. I don't want to see Shadur. I don't want to see Shadur on the Browns either because I want him to be successful, and I think that's a problem now. So,
he who laughs last loudest, buddy.
There you go.
All right. San Francisco 49ers, B+. What do they need?
Yeah, they need defense.
Well, what they got was edge, Michael Williams, Georgia. Defensive tackle, Alfred Collins, Texas. Linebacker, Nick Martin, Ohio, Oklahoma State. Cornerback, Upton Stout, Western Kentucky. Defensive tackle, C.J. West, Indiana. Finally went offense, wide receiver, Jordan Watkins from Mississippi. Running back, Jordan James from Oregon. Safety, Marquise Siegel from Kansas State. Quarterback, Curtis Rourke from Indiana. Guard, Connor Colby from Iowa. And wide receiver, Junior Bergman from Montana. Day 1B, day 2A+, and day 3B+. A lot of picks here for the 49ers. A lot of defense to start the draft off. How'd they do?
I liked he only gave it a B grade for Michael Williams. I really liked him. He was injured, ankle injury most of the season for Georgia, wasn't playing healthy. If he ends up getting healthy and being everything that everyone thinks he can be, he's going to be an absolute monster on the opposite side of Bosa. So I really like that pick. Alfred Collins is a run stuffer, just taking up space. Nick Martin is really interesting to see what happens with him. He was a guy that was hurt most of last year for Oklahoma State, was an absolute beast the year before for Oklahoma State. Ton of tackles, a guy that you can blitz, you can use him off ball, you can use him on the edge. I saw no one that had him anywhere near the third round. So that one's a toughie. They obviously had recruited him, looked at him, and loved him in advance for the fact that they took him that high. Upton Stout, I saw somebody says, "Oh, that's a great beer." It does sounds like a great beer. He's a decent cornerback, not a bad pick there. CJ West, another run stuffer inside. I did like Watkins was a guy that kind of hit late for Ole Miss. He really kind of took over the Trey Harris role when Trey Harris got hurt. And then Jordan Watkins absolutely crushed down the end of the stretch for Ole Miss. He had one game, I'm pretty sure he had over 300 yards in a game. He had just a monster game, like 300 yards and I want to say 5 touchdowns. It was just an unreal game that me as a CFF fan that had Trey Harris hurt, that absolutely crushed me. But Watkins, solid pick there. Really kind of surprised they took him in the 4th. There was other guys I thought would go before him, especially at wide receiver. Jordan James in the 5th. Solid guy. Fell down some people's draft boards. Wasn't super fast. Not super big. Tough runner, though. I think he easily could end up being the 2nd or 3rd guy behind CMC, behind Guerrero. So Guerrero's the speed guy. To be honest with you, I think Jordan James is a better running back. He's a better all-around running back. Garendo, to me, is a more of a change of pace guy. Hit a home run maybe here and there for you. So I actually like Jordan James in the 5th. I thought that was a really nice pick. Curtis Rourke, a guy that was hurt at Indiana. To me, he is damn near Sam Purdy. I mean, he's him. So I think it's a great pick. It basically, if Purdy goes down, I think he could be very similar player to him backing up. So some nice moves there for the Niners. I thought the Michael Williams pick was better than it was made out to be, but they really made up for it with some nice picks, third, fourth, fifth round.
Yeah. After that, Seattle, same division, Seattle Seahawks, A- grade. What do they need?
Seahawks coming in, took care of their quarterback, got rid of Geno, and got our guy Sam Darnold, pick up Cooper Kupp, got rid of DK Metcalf. O-line has been an issue. They need O-line. Also, we're looking at wide receiver and DB.
Yeah, they got guard Gray Zabel, who was the spotlight of the Senior Bowl. He was everywhere. If you watch any highlights of the Senior Bowl, you saw Gray Zabel. Nick Emanwari, South Carolina. I'm surprised that he fell that far, but my boy, tight end number in the second round pick. They also got tight end Elijah Arroyo from Miami, a guy I like a lot. Quarterback in round 3, Jalen Milroe from Alabama. Defensive line Riley Mills from Notre Dame. Let's go Irish. Wide receiver Torrey Horton from Colorado State. A lot of usage on that guy in college. Fullback Robbie Outs from Alabama. Guard Bryce Calvadou from Kansas. Running back Damian Martinez from Miami, underrated guy. Offensive tackle Mason Richmond from Iowa, and wide receiver Ricky White from UNLV. I had him on all my C2C teams. He was a pretty good player. But grade 1, day 1 A, day 2 B, day 3 A. What do you think about this draft from the Seattle Seahawks?
Yeah, I actually like this draft a lot out of them. Zabel was the pick in the first round. They need Emanwari. They traded they actually gave maybe too much away to trade up and get him in the second round, but he's a guy that most people thought were going to go first. Absolutely lit up the scouting combine. Perfect 10 RAS score, 6'3", 220, 225. I mean, ran a 4.38 at 220. Like dude, the guy is just an athletic freak. I think he's going to be a beast in that secondary. I really like that pick. Elijah Arroyo, guy you like and I like a ton. Arroyo was my tight end 4 coming in this class, and I really liked this tight end class. Arroyo, stud at Miami, was one of the top receivers for Cam Ward. Injury concerns for him all the way through his career. Last year really was his first year, but man, this guy has got speed. He can burn people deep. I think he's going to end up being an absolute stud. Is it going to take a year or two? Maybe, possibly, but he's a guy I'm snagging in fantasy drafts everywhere. Jalen Milroe's a guy I'm not on. I don't love Jalen Milroe. He's a project. But here's the thing is, if you're Seattle and you're thinking, hey, we got Sam Darnold for 2 years, can we take this guy and see if we can develop? I don't mind it if you're taking with the fact that you're going to see if you can develop for 2 years. I thought third round was a little high, especially when they had, I'm guessing they went third just because they had no fourth round pick with them there. I'm not going to have a lot of Milroe. I did take him in a league where I have Darnold, Andrew Luck, and I was like, you know what? It's a 14-team league. It's impossible to get quarterback. I'm just going to take him just in case. And I'm in a rebuild, so I took Milroe there. Other than that, the guy flying up draft boards, Torrey Horton. If you did a draft a month ago, Torrey Horton probably didn't get drafted or got picked late 5th round. He is flying up draft boards. People are finally getting. He was a guy who was a Debbie Darling 2 years ago at Colorado State. Got hurt last year, missed most of the season. Blazing was 4.41, I think, at the combine. Had a really nice time there. He's moving up draft board, so look out for him. He's getting into early 4th now, where he was like a late 5th. And then Damian Martinez. I love Damian Martinez. He's one of my top guys in this draft at running back. I'm shocked he fell to the 7th round. I mean, absolutely shocked. There's so many guys that went in front of him that I liked him better than. I love this pick. If Kenny Walker goes down and anything happens to Charbonnet, Martinez is a guy that could step in and absolutely be RB1 right away for them. I was taking Martinez like early 3rd pre-draft. He's going a little bit later now as a 7th rounder, but don't wait on him if you really like him, because a couple of drafts I thought I could get him around later just because he went in the 7th. Nope. People were all over him. It didn't get to me, and I was pissed I didn't get him. And then Ricky White, absolute stud on special teams. A guy who had pretty average to below average QB play in college and still put up great numbers. Little shot. He ran a terrible time at the combine that killed him. He ran like it was bad. I can't remember what it was, but it was like almost like a 4.7. It was awful. That absolutely killed him. I think he plays faster than that. I think it was maybe just a bad time. He's one of those guys, you're not going to get him in shorts and watch him and be like, oh man, he blows me away. But man, you get him on the football field, he looks really good.
He ran a 4.49 actually.
Yes. So again, he ran a horrible one at the combine, but he re-ran it at his pro day and got a 4.49. So I thought he was faster than that. Like I said, people are out on him because of that. I think he's great. I thought he'd been an awesome Steelers player. He'll do special teams. I think he can work his way into this lineup. I really like Horton and White to go with JSN and Cup. I think one MVS, dude. No, he's in the starting lineup right now. No. Nope. MVS, get rid of him. I think Horton takes MVS's job immediately, and I think Ricky White becomes wide receiver 4 for this team.
Yeah, buddy. Next up is Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a B+ grade. What do they need?
Yeah, so the Bucks, they made some moves, trades, so they didn't have a ton of picks. They needed linebacker pretty bad. Levante David, been there forever. Devin White's gone. Cornerback, and then edge. They always need some help on defense. But that's not always what they do. They need help on defense. They went cornerback and edge late, but they surprised us all, John, by going wide out twice.
Yes. They didn't need wideouts. They took 2 of them.
Yep.
But they got the first round, they got a Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State, absolute stud. Like I said before, I thought Godwin was going to be gone and they were going to take Egbuka, but they kept Godwin and brought Egbuka back too. So, good for them. Cornerback Benjamin Morrison from Let's Go Irish Notre Dame. Round 3, cornerback Jacob Parrish from Kansas State. Round 4, edge David Walker from Central Arkansas. Round 5, edge Elijah Roberts, SMU, and then round 7, Tez Johnson from Oregon. B+, B, and B. They must not like this draft too much.
Yeah, that was a solid draft. It was okay. They didn't have a lot of picks. They weren't in great spots. I love the Emeka Egbuka pick. We talked about it on a show earlier this morning, John, so I won't get heavy into it. But I think Egbuka's a nice pick. When they had injuries last year, this offense fell apart when Mike Evans and Godwin went out. I think they said, we're not going to let that happen to us again. I don't know if Egbuka is immediate fantasy guy going back. I'm grabbing him anywhere that I'm on a rebuild, though.
Yep.
I want talent. I think Egbuka is uber talented. He could have been a first rounder in the last 3 drafts. So I like Egbuka a lot. Benjamin Morris was a great pick in the second. He fell. I saw people, mocking Benjamin Morris at them in the first. So the fact that they got him in the second's nice. Parrish, decent guy. David Walker, Elijah Roberts, both those edges are guys that are going to need some work. Tez Johnson, guy was awesome in college. Absolutely awesome in college. Another guy that did not have a good combine. Tiny. He was like 154 when he weighed in. He everybody thought he would run a burning like 4.40. He did not. He ran in the mid 4.5s for a guy that small. We'll see. We've seen guys like Tank Dell make it. But Tez Johnson, 7th rounder, we'll see if he can make his way in onto this team. Rooting for him, but man, hopefully the production in college actually translates.
Jeremy left a comment earlier in the show about the Bucks have now the lightest guy and the heaviest guy in the NFL. Tez, 154 pounds, and Desmond Watson, 464 pounds. So big difference in weights for these guys.
Yeah, Desmond Watson, the defensive tackle out of Florida. A lot of people thought he might get drafted. I think they got him as an undrafted free agent. Dude's a monster.
Yep. 2 teams ago, Tennessee Titans with an A grade. What do they need?
Sorry, you shocked me with the A grade for the Titans. I'm not used to seeing that. QB, obviously, with a 101 pick. Will Levis. I'm sorry, John, not the guy. So they need a QB, edge rusher, and then got to give your QB weapons. Need a wide receiver pretty bad.
I really thought they're going to trade Mr. Mayonnaise. You just said his name.
Will Levis.
Will Levis. I thought they were going to trade Will Levis.
I just don't think there was. Dude, I'm guessing there was like no market for him. I really do. I don't think there was any market. And again, if you're going to get like a 6th round in return for him, just hold him.
Keep him, right? Yeah,
just hold him. And he's on a rookie contract. You're not paying him a ton of money. If again you're taking Cam Ward to the 101, but we see that not go right in the past. So Is it going to be friction in the locker room? I think so. I mean, you took a guy who thought this was his job, and now you're bringing a 101 quarterback in front of him. But you got to make it work. You got to be professional and see what happens. But I don't think there's no reason to trade him away unless somebody's going to give you something decent. I just don't see that for Levis right now.
And Will Levis fell last year for a reason too. For a lot of people, they saw what they saw. They knew what they knew. So round 1, Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami, 101 pick. Round 2, edge, Olufemi Alejo from UCLA. Round 3, Kevin Winston Jr., Penn State, safety. Round 4, wide receiver Shamir Dyke from Florida. Round 4, tight end Gunnar Helm from Texas. Round 4 also, Alec Ayamanor from Stanford. Round 5, guard Jackson Slater from Sacramento State. Round 6, cornerback Marcus Harris from California. And round 6, running back Khalil Mullings from Michigan. Day 1, grade A. Day 2, grade A. Day 3, grade A+. So they had a lot of good talent.
Really surprised about those grades, to be honest with you. Obviously, Cam Ward at 101, I think, was the pick. He was my QB2 coming into this season. Was my QB2 pre-draft. I think Cam Ward, a perfect example. Go back to school, people. He would have been maybe a 4th round pick last year out of Washington State. Goes back to school, makes a ton of money at Miami, and really improves his draft stock. 0-star prospect. That turned around, went Incarnate Word, and eventually to Washington State and to Miami. Just unbelievable story for what he did to get up to the 101. The defensive guys, 2 and 3, guys had been injured. I thought both those guys got overdrafted. Not a huge fan. Got an A+ day 3. To me, the A+ on day 3 has to be Dyke, Helm, and Manor. Manor, he was a guy that some people were talking about late 1st, early 2nd. I wasn't on that. I was like, I'm shocked that people had him ranked as high as they did. But getting him in the 4th, I'm all in on getting him in the 4th. I mean, that's fantastic. Dyke was a guy didn't have much college production, but speedster, had a really good combine, kind of jumped up people's draft boards. And then Gunnar Helm, opposite, had a terrible combine, figured out he really injured his ankle on his 40 time. He tripped on a missed start.
Yep.
Swelled up huge, didn't tell anybody, kept doing everything, and got horrible scores on everything. So he was a guy a lot of people were higher on because he was actually the leading receiver for Texas, even with all the talent they had in Matthew Golden and Isaiah Bond. He was their number 1 receiver. So I thought getting him in the 4th round was nice. So I thought they really crushed that 4th round. Other than Cam at 101, and then all the 3 4th round picks I thought were great. Everyone else, I was like, not much else for me. I was really surprised the overall grade of A's here, but Khalil Mullins from Michigan, nice kid, big kid. They've got a couple guys like that in the past that have done nothing. Haskins, he reminds me of Haskins from Michigan. Surprised they took him in the 6th round when I think there was quite a few better running backs still out there.
Yeah, there was a lot of talent left over when he picked them. Last team, the W's, Washington Commanders. They got a B grade. Not that many picks, but they had some. So what was their team needs?
Lost some edge rushers. Lost Dante Fowler Jr. in the offseason. He had 10.5 sacks last year. Needed to add edge to kind of replace him. Cornerback, they've taken some swings and misses the last couple seasons, so needed to add corner, and they needed to add wide receiver as well.
Josh Connerly, they took probably as out of necessity, just because you always need offensive linemen, but there's some other players left on the board that, people are. The C+ is kind of like, hey, there were some better players on the board. You didn't need to take this, but maybe they thought they had to keep bolstering the offensive line. That's team needs, not draft grades. Day 2, cornerback Trey Amos, Mississippi. Round 2. Round 4, they had Jalen Lane, Virginia Tech, wide receiver. Round 6, linebacker Kane Madrano from UCLA. Round 7, running back Ja'Cory Korsky Merritt from Arizona. Day 1, C+, day 2, A-, day 3, A+. What do you think about their draft?
Connerly, not the sexiest pick, but they need O-line help. Him or Simmons, maybe Simmons was the pick there, though they wanted the guy who's healthy. I don't mind it at all. I thought it was better than a C+ pick there. Trey Amos in the 2nd round, I thought was phenomenal. He was by far my highest cornerback left on my board. He was a guy a lot of people were talking about late 1st, early 2nd. I thought there was a chance that the Colts would grab him, but he gets all the way down to Washington at number 61. I thought it was a fantastic pick. Jalen Lane in the 4th, a fast guy, never really produced much in college, a speedster. Other guys I would have rather had over him in the 4th. Madrano, a guy just off the charts athletically, didn't produce a lot at UCLA, but the numbers as far as like what he could possibly be in the pros is up there. So he's worth a swing in the 6th. And then Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt out of Arizona, the running back, 7th round. He was a real late riser. People really kind of got behind him late in the draft and started watching his film. He just kind of fell through the cracks of all the guys in this draft. He's going to make this team. He's going to make this team, and he's a guy that has the juice that the other guys on this roster at running back don't have. Don't be surprised. He's a priority free agent pickup for me. I think he's a guy that makes this roster, and there's a chance if there's any kind of injuries, I think there's a chance he gets up in the mix.
Yeah. Well, we did it, JT. We got a couple big shows. They a little bit long, but
it's the draft, man. Long shows all the time right now. Ton to talk about, Johnny. Ton to talk about.
That's right. So I appreciate you sticking around and doing these long shows with me. But I love doing these long shows, and hey, that's what they're all about. A couple long shows today, and we'll try to make that not the norm in the future. But sometimes it's out of necessity.
We've been trying to be better about keeping it close to an hour and a half max. We knew these long drafts going through every team was going to be close. So two hour episodes. So in case you missed this, go back, listen to some podcast form, or check the show later. Jamie, thank you. He says not long enough. We appreciate it, man.
All right. Well, thanks, JT. All the stuff, Fantasy and Frames, writing at DLF, all the stuff. Tell everyone where you can find you at.
Yep, at Jtorange on the X or Twitter. Yep, DLF, check me out over there if you remember. All kinds of draft coverage. If you're in IDP, got my IDP rankings up, my rookie rankings, and I've got an article coming out either today or tomorrow on a 2-round IDP mock draft. So if you're looking at that, if you're an IDP guy, check that out. And then Fantasy and Frames, Wednesday nights, you can find me over there doing Shoot the Gap IDP show and then doing Dynasty 365, our Dynasty show. Doing a lot of drafts right now. So if you're looking to get into drafts, check us out. We're doing live drafts. And then if you're not in the draft, you can see who everyone's taking and kind of get an idea of where you need to take people in your draft. So those are on Wednesday nights.
JohnMcGlynn75. Find me on X, on Dynasty Evaluation on YouTube. But thanks for Memphis from Dynasty Warzone for letting us use his YouTube channel. And we will talk to you guys later. Thanks for joining in. Thanks, Jeremy.